Chapter 712. This time, the college tournament still uses the drawing system. 7 cultivators from each of the 3 colleges will participate in the tournament. Because of the special nature of Crown Prince Nangong Ouchin, he directly advanced to the finals. Hearing this news, the people present did not feel that there was anything wrong with it. Crown Prince Nangong Ouchin was the pride of the people of the Qing dynasty. At a young age, he had become the first in Lingyin College. His strength was extremely strong, his talent was extraordinary, and he was unparalleled in the world. Therefore, there are only 20 cultivators participating in the tournament today. In order to be fair, Beihai College and Kanglin College will each send 5 cultivators to draw lots. The winner will successfully advance to the second round, and the loser will be eliminated. Jian Qingxiu concisely introduced the method of the tournament to everyone. It was simple and clear. If there is no doubt, we can start drawing lots now. Jian Qingxiu's face was filled with a thick smile. In front of him, there was a drawing box. Each drawing box had the name of the participating cultivator. As the cultivators of Beihai College and Kanglin College went to the high platform, Jian Qingxiu took out the lot of the people who drew lots. In this way, the cultivators they drew would be their opponents. This method also reduced the possibility of their own academies encountering cultivators from their own academies to the minimum. Bailey Hongzhuang and Gong Shaoqing did not go up to draw lots. No matter who the opponent was, they were already mentally prepared. Nangong Xiujie and Nangong Yujin were looking at Bailey Hongzhuang with displeasure. They did not expect this woman to be a cultivator of Kanglin College. If that was the case, could it be that what Mo Yunjue said that day was false? After all, the cultivators of the Kanglin College had only arrived in the Qing dynasty in the past 2 days. Previously, they were at the Kanglin College, so how could they know Mo Yunjue? Yujin, are we being played? Nangong Xiujie's face was gloomy. He had never been played like this before, because the movement on that day was too big. Even his father, the emperor, heard the news and even scolded him and Nangong Yujin for it. If it was someone else talking about it, it would affect his father's attitude towards them, so they could not let it go easily. Nangong Yujin's face was also ugly. If this is the case, then Mo Yunjue is too bold. They were dignified princes. Wasn't Mo Yunjue treating them like monkeys? Even if Mo Yunjue had a certain background, he could not be so excessive. Let's ask third sister later. Nangong Xiujie's eyes flashed with the light of thought. Mo Yunjue was not a simple character. They could not wrongly accuse Mo Yunjue. Nangong Yujin's eyebrows slightly. Ever since Nangong Yue first met Mo Yunjue, she had fallen in love with him. During this period of time, she had been paying close attention to him. Although Mo Yunjue was often mysterious, Nangong Yue was still persistent. He believed that Nangong Yue would know a lot about Mo Yunjue. Have you seen young Master Mo recently? Nangong Yujin asked. Hearing this, Nangong Yue's eyes showed a strange look. Third brother, why are you asking about young Master Mo? Chapter 713. Third brother is just concerned about your marriage. You are not young now, and father is very concerned about your marriage. Nangong Yujin's face was filled with a playful smile. It was impossible for this little girl to trick him. Hearing this, Nangong Yue's expression changed a bit. Third brother, did you hear something from father? Nangong Yujin shrugged. I know you like Mo Yunjue, but Mo Yunjue has always been mysterious. Is it possible that he is already married and you are still in the dark? As soon as this was said, Nangong Yue immediately shook her head. This is impossible. You are so sure? Nangong Yujin raised his eyebrows. Of course. Nangong Yue did not hesitate to answer, but after seeing Nangong Yujin's attitude, she was a bit suspicious. Her third brother had never paid much attention to these things. What happened today? Nangong Yue absolutely did not believe that Nangong Yujin was just asking a simple question, so she immediately asked, Third brother, what happened? Tell me clearly. Nangong Yujin originally just wanted to test Nangong Yue's words, but now that he saw her so concerned, he decided to tell the truth. A few days ago, I saw Mo Yunjue holding a child and looking for a young and beautiful woman. He even called the woman his wife. Originally, I believed it, but today I saw that woman appear in the team of the college tournament. I felt a bit strange, so I asked you, if Mo Yunjue is really married and has a child, you should not jump into it. As a member of the royal family, she has always been quite indifferent to relationships, but Nan Gongyu was very serious about Mo Yunjue. Nan Gongyu was also his third sister, and he did not want to see her being deceived. With Nan Gongyu's voice falling, Nan Gongyu's expression instantly became ugly. How is this possible? She had never heard of this news. In the past, when she saw Mo Yunjue, it was just him alone. Not to mention a wife, she had never even seen the existence of a woman beside Mo Yunjue. Nan Gongyu's mind was constantly thinking, but suddenly she remembered that Nan Gongyujin said that Mo Yunjue's wife was in the team of the college tournament. She immediately asked, "Third brother, who is this Mo Yunjue's wife you mentioned? Among the women who participated in the college tournament, which one could compare with her?" Regardless of whether Mo Yunjue was really married or not, the way he treated that woman already showed that he treated her differently. She wanted to see who dared to steal her man. Nan Gongyujin raised his chin slightly and looked in the direction of Bailey Hongzhuang. "It's the girl in white from Azure Water School's team, Bailey Hongzhuang." Hearing this, Nan Gongyu could not help but be stunned. She had already noticed Bailey Hongzhuang before, because this person's appearance was really difficult to not notice. Even if she did not want to admit it, she had to say that Bailey Hongzhuang was really a national beauty. She is from the Kangling College. How could she know young Master Mo? Nan Gongyu's face was suspicious. This was simply two different places. Chapter 714. Nan Gongyujin shrugged his shoulders. If third brother could make such a mistake, then he wouldn't be your third brother. What's more, I didn't see it alone. Second brother also saw it with his own eyes. After saying this, Nan Gongyujin no longer said anything and went back to his seat. Seeing Nan Gongyujin so serious, Nan Gongyu no longer doubted him. The next moment, Nan Gongyu's eyes could not help but fall on Bailey Hongzhuang. This damn woman dared to steal her sweetheart? What kind of status did she have? How could a lowly commoner like Bailey Hongzhuang compare with her? In any case, Mo Yunjue was the man she liked. She must make Mo Yunjue her man. As for all the obstacles, she will completely eradicate them. Bailey Hongzhuang was waiting for the results of the draw when she suddenly felt a gaze full of anger and resentment directed at her. She could not help but look in the direction of the source of the gaze and saw Nan Gongyu looking at her fiercely. It was as if they were irreconcilable enemies. Although she and Nan Gongyu originally belonged to the same camp, it was normal for them to hate each other, but this kind of hatred was a bit strange. Even if she had offended Nan Gong Xiujie and Nan Gongyujin, these two people had not yet expressed their opinions. What did it have to do with Nan Gongyu? After thinking for a moment, Bailey Hongzhuang couldn't figure out the reason, so she directly chose to give up. Since Nan Gongyu hated her so much, she would know the reason sooner or later. Soon, the results of the draw came out, and Ling Yinghao slowly read out the names of the people who had drawn. Xiao Lan Mei against Nan Gongyujin, Bailey Hongzhuang against Lu Jinglin, Xia Jiqing against Lu Jingqi. Soon, everyone already knew their opponents. The Kangling College was very lucky this time. They did not draw any cultivators from their own college. However, there were two cultivators from Beihai College who drew their own cultivators. However, whether it was lucky or not could not be directly determined. This was because their own academy had drawn a cultivator from their own academy. This meant that one of them would definitely advance to the next round. If the Kangling College's cultivator advanced, it would be the best. If not, the result may be worse than Beihai College. When Xia Jiqing clearly saw that she had drawn Lu Jingqi, an unspeakable excitement spread in her heart. This damn woman. Today, she finally had a chance to teach her a lesson. When Lu Jingqi heard that her opponent was Xia Jiqing, the corners of her mouth also evoked a smile. If someone were to ask her who she hated the most in Azure Water School, She wouldn't say Bailey Hongzhuang, but Xia Jiqing. Today, she finally had a chance to let them decide the winner. She must teach Xia Jiqing a lesson. Jingqi, this is your chance for revenge. Perform well. Lu Jinglin patted her on the chin. Inner was uses. It is a good sister. You can rest assured. I will definitely beat Xia Jiqing until she pisses her pants. Chapter 715. Lu Jingqi also understood what Lu Jinglin was thinking at the moment. She also felt very helpless about her sister's luck. It was said that Bailey Hongzhuang and Gong Shaoqing were the two strongest people in Kanglan College. Although her sister's strength was not weak, the last time she fought with Bailey Hongzhuang, it had already shown the difference in strength between the two. This time, she was afraid that her sister would definitely lose. Sister, Lu Jingqi's eyes were filled with worry. She naturally knew what kind of character her sister had, and she was afraid that she was extremely depressed. Lu Jinglin waved her hand slightly. I am afraid that I will lose this round. As long as you can perform well, that is enough. Hearing this, Lu Jingqi nodded heavily. Sister, you can rest assured. I will definitely help you vent your anger. After Nan Gongyu found that her opponent was not Bailey Hongzhuang, she looked a little depressed. If Bailey Hongzhuang was her opponent, she would have killed her directly on the stage. In this way, Mo Yunjue would still be hers. I hope you could survive this round. Nan Gongyuer's eyes narrowed, and a vicious light flashed in her eyes. She had to deal with her own opponent. Among all the cultivators, Shaolin Mei against Nangong Yujin was the last result that Lingyin College and Beihai College wanted to see. Both Shaolin Mei and Nangong Yujin were very strong. If they were to fight against the cultivators of Kanglan College, they would definitely be able to eliminate them. They did not think that they would have to fight against the two of them. As a result, it was a pity that only one of them would be left. When the results of the draw came out, Bailey Hongzhuang no longer delayed and immediately went to the stage. At this moment, there were a total of 10 stages in the entire arena, which were prepared for the first round. If it was a 2-on-1 battle, who knew how much time it would take to complete the first round of the promotion tournament? Therefore, Lingyin College arranged 10 stages at the same time, which could shorten a lot of time. What's more, the first round of the tournament was the least valuable. The later the tournament, the more tragic and exciting it would be. Bailey Hongzhuang's figure leapt up, directly landing on the stage. The wind blew, her clothes fluttered, and her black hair danced. A transparent long sword was held in her hand, and under the sun, it flashed a colorful light. It was just that the chill that was inadvertently spread out made everyone understand that it was not the time to enjoy the beautiful scenery. Lu Jinglin appeared on the other side of the stage. Her pretty face was a bit gloomy. Obviously, her mood was not very good. We meet again, Bailey Hongzhuang said slowly. She hadn't expected this result. Lu Jingqi's strength was around the middle stage of the profound heaven stage, so she couldn't pose any threat to her. Bailey Hongzhuang, don't think you're so great just because you're strong. This time, your Azure Water College is doomed to lose. Lu Jinglin looked at Bailey Hongzhuang mockingly. She would not let Bailey Hongzhuang be proud. Bailey Hongzhuang's lips were slightly curved. The result of this tournament is still unknown. I only know that you'll be defeated by me. As soon as these words came out, Lu Jingqi's face suddenly became gloomy. Bailey Hongzhuang's words really made her unable to refute. Chapter 716. With the sound of the referee's voice, Bailey Hongzhuang's internal energy surged in an instant, and in a short time, it poured into her limbs and bones. Although Lu Jinglin knew that she was not Bailey Hongzhuang's opponent, she had to show her strength. No matter what, she had to hold on for a while, although the result of losing to the cultivators of the Kanglan College was already a shame for her. Bailey Hongzhuang suddenly stepped forward, and a tyrannical fist blasted the air, and without hesitation, blasted towards Lu Jinglin. Lu Jinglin's figure was slightly shaken. Her strength was not Bailey Hongzhuang's opponent at all, and a direct confrontation would only lead to a dead end. However, Bailey Hongzhuang had already discovered her thoughts. How could there be a possibility of her dodging? Bailey Hongzhuang's fist turned and landed solidly on Lu Jinglin's chest. Ta, ta. Lu Jinglin could not help but take a few steps back, and her face was pale, but her eyes flashed with disbelief. She had clearly dodged, but Bailey Hongzhuang seemed to have expected her to dodge, and the place where the fist appeared was where she appeared after dodging. How is this possible? Lu Jinglin found it hard to believe. Did Bailey Hongzhuang already expect a reaction? In her line of sight, Bailey Hongzhuang's lips were curved with a faint smile, and this blow was effortless for her. If it was before she obtained the inheritance of the monument, it may take some time to deal with Lu Jinglin, but for now, it was no pressure at all. Bailey Hongzhuang's strength was stronger than Lu Jinglin's, and this punch did not hold back at all, so it was difficult for Lu Jinglin to bear. The scene in Longwang City seemed to be reproduced here. Lu Jinglin only felt as if her internal organs were displaced, and a piercing pain emerged from her body, making her extremely uncomfortable. Just as she was about to stand up, Lu Jinglin felt a surge of blood in her body, and she spat out another mouthful of blood. She had not fully recovered from the serious injuries she had suffered from Bailey Hongzhuang. Now that she had been punched, her condition was even worse than before. This was the reason why they never clashed with Bailey Hongzhuang again. If they were to be injured by Bailey Hongzhuang and the others before the start of the inter-school tournament, then by the time the inter-school tournament started, wouldn't they be at a disadvantage? However, Lu Jinglin did not expect her luck to be so bad. The last person she wanted to meet was Bailey Hongzhuang. She did not expect to meet her. She wanted to continue fighting, but her body's condition made her understand that it was impossible. Bailey Hongzhuang wins. The referee did not hesitate to announce the result. Lu Jinglin's face was dejected. Before the start of the competition, she had never thought that this would be the result. One move, just one move, Bailey Hongzhuang defeated her. She looked down so much on the cultivators of the Kanglan College, but now she was defeated by the other party with a simple move. One irony. The onlookers were also stunned. Bailey Hongzhuang and Lu Jinglin were both beauties, and there were many people who were watching their battle. They thought that Beihai College had been pressing on the head of the Kanglan College, and the result of this competition should be Lu Jinglin's victory. Chapter 717. Bailey Hongzhuang slowly walked down the stage and returned to the position of the Kanglan College team. Among all the people on the stage, she was the fastest to finish the battle, while the other cultivators on the stage were still fighting in full swing. Lu Huayan and Fu Hongba saw that Bailey Hongzhuang had finished the battle so quickly, and there was a hint of surprise in their eyes. Although they had long known that Bailey Hongzhuang would not lose this battle, but to end the battle in just one move was a bit too shocking. Isn't it said that the cultivators of the Kanglan College are very weak? Bailey Hongzhuang defeated Lu Jinglin in just one move. How can this be called weak? Some civilians could not help but talk after seeing this scene. For a long time, under the influence of Lingying College, they only thought that the Kanglan College was just a facade and did not have much strength at all. They even thought that the Kanglan College should be directly banned, and continuing to exist like this would only lead people astray. However, Bailey Hongzhuang's battle had obviously changed their views. Defeating the enemy in one move, this proved that her strength was not just a little bit stronger than Lu Jinglin's. That's not necessarily the case. Maybe Lu Jinglin's strength is too weak. Look at the other stages. Which one of them failed so easily? You are right. This Lu Jingqi is too weak. Lu Jinglin's mood was extremely low, and after hearing the discussion of the crowd, her face became even uglier, as if she had become worthless. This made her, who had always been very proud, feel extremely frustrated. When she was at Beihai College, she was a genius that everyone sought after. Now she was said to be too weak. This was a fatal blow. Mo Xinghai and Duan Yingwu obviously did not think that Lu Jinglin would be defeated in just one move. This was really a loss of face for Beihai College. The two of them were too lazy to pay attention to Lu Jinglin. Even if she was going to lose, at least she should lose in a good way. Lu Jinglin's way of losing was tantamount to a naked slap in the face. Previously, they were still clamoring that the Kangling College would be at the bottom of the rankings. Now that they were defeated in such a way, they had no face. Bailey Hongzhuang did not pay any attention to Lu Jinglin as her gaze landed on the other stages. Gong Xiaoqing's strength was not bad. At this moment, he was suppressing his opponent. She believed that Gong Xiaoqing would be able to end this battle soon. Dong Fangyu's situation was also quite optimistic. Although his opponent's strength was also very valiant, and the two of them were evenly matched from the confident smile on Dong Fangyu's face, one could tell that he was very confident in his victory. Zhang Yunfeng and Bai Junyu's situation was not very optimistic. Zhang Yunfeng's opponent was Nan Gongyue. Although Nan Gongyue was the third princess of the royal family, her strength was not exaggerated. To be able to represent Lingyin College in the college tournament, she naturally had some ability. Zhang Yunfeng's strength was already quite good, but Nan Gongyue was clearly superior, suppressing Zhang Yunfeng in all aspects. "Master, I'm afraid Zhang Yunfeng is going to fail," Xiao He said slowly. "Zhang Yunfeng hasn't displayed her full strength yet." Chapter 718. Bailey Hongzhuang nodded slightly. Xiao He and Xiao Bai's judgment was not wrong. Nan Gongyue's strength had broken through to the innate realm. Sure enough, the royal family's support was not simple. In fact, under the accumulation of the rich resources of the royal family, as long as the cultivator's talent was good, their strength would not be bad. In contrast, Nan Gongyujin was the weakest of the royal family's people. His sister had broken through to the innate realm, but he had not. She was afraid that Nan Gongyujin had put all his energy into the matter of robbing women. Since the incident that day, she also knew a little more about Nan Gongyujin. The third prince of the Qing dynasty was famous for being a playboy. Not only did he often wander in the brothel, but he would also take away some beautiful women on the street directly. It was precisely because of this that Nan Gongyujin's reputation was not good in the Qing dynasty. But because of his identity as the third prince, no one dared to say anything. Although the second prince Nan Gongxiujie was a little better than Nan Gongyujin, it was not much better. On the contrary, the crown prince Nan Gongouchin was very popular. Not only was his strength tyrannical, but he also cultivated hard and never did such things. Boom! With a heavy blow from Nan Gongyue, Zhang Yunfeng was directly attacked and fell directly from the platform, announcing the end of the battle. After winning, Nan Gongyue looked directly at Bailey Hongzhuang under the high platform. She raised her chin slightly, and her face was full of provocation. "Master, this Nan Gongyue seems to be very unhappy with you." Xiao He's eyes flashed with a puzzled light. Nan Gongyue's attitude was obviously provocative, but when did the master offend Nan Gongyue? Bailey Hongzhuang shrugged her shoulders. Her expression was full of innocence. She did not understand why Nan Gongyue had such an attitude. Finally, Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes fell on the platform where Xia Jiqing was. Xia Jiqing and Lu Jingqi could be said to be evenly matched. Since the fight had reached its climax, the two did not give in and ruthlessly attacked each other's vital points. The enmity between the two of them had long been deep. Now that they had met, they were like fire and water. "Pa!" Xia Jiqing's long whip fiercely waved towards Lu Jingqi. This fiery red long whip was the long whip that Xia Jiqing had taken a fancy to in Wubao Pavilion, but had never bought it. After Bailey Hongzhuang saw the love in Xia Jiqing's eyes, she bought the long whip. Today, Xia Jiqing directly used the long whip to participate in the competition. Lu Jingqi held the sword and did not hesitate to attack Xia Jiqing. However, the long whip in Xia Jiqing's hand seemed to have come alive. She waved her right hand and directly entangled Lu Jingqi's long sword. Seeing this, Lu Jingqi did not panic. Her elemental energy continuously flowed into the long sword, and then the long whip's restraint on her weapon was undone. The two of them fought back and forth, but no one could do anything to the other. Just as Bailey Hongzhuang was paying attention to the battle between Xia Jiqing and Lu Jingqi, Gong Xiaoqing and Dong Fangyue had finished their battle and slowly walked to Bailey Hongzhuang's side. "Hongzhuang, you've ended the battle so quickly." Chapter 719. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled faintly. Without waiting for her to speak, Lu Huayan's voice rang out. Hongzhuang defeated Lu Jinglin with only one move. This is a good start for our college. Lu Huayan and Fu Hongbo were in a good mood. Now that Bailey Hongzhuang, Gong Xiaoqing, and Dong Fengyu had won, this result was already good. It was still uncertain who would win between Xia Jiqing and Lu Jingqi. If Xia Jiqing could win, then 4 people from Kanglin College would advance in the first round. Compared to the situation of the previous 2 academy exchange meetings, this time was much better. Zhang Yunfeng, Bai Junyu, and Cui Haoyan's faces were full of frustration. They had not passed the first round. Minter, I'm sorry. The mood of the 3 people was very low. They thought that they could get a good result in the exchange, but they did not think that they would not pass the first round. Their hearts were naturally uncomfortable. Lu Huayan and Fu Hongbo's eyes flashed with love. They patted the 3 people on the shoulders and comforted them. There are winners and losers in the competition. Don't think too much. The strength of the practitioners of Lingyin College and Beihai College was not weak. The failure of Zhang Yunfeng and the others was not entirely because they were not strong enough. The bigger reason was that their opponents were too strong. Zhang Yunfeng was injured. Fu Hongbo took out the medicine that he had already prepared and gave it to Zhang Yunfeng. Everyone's eyes once again fell on the battle between Xia Jiqing and Lu Jingqi. Not only the people of Kanglin College, but the practitioners of Beihai College were also paying attention to the battle. Now that 3 people from Kanglin College had successfully advanced, and 3 people from Beihai College had also successfully advanced. The result of the battle between Xia Jiqing and Lu Jingqi determined which of the 2 colleges had the advantage in the first round. The strength of Lu Jingqi seems to have increased a bit compared to when we fought in Longguang City. Gong Xiaoqing judged this point after seeing the battle between Lu Jingqi and Xia Jiqing. Although Lu Jingqi and Xia Jiqing were tied at the beginning, it was obvious that Xia Jiqing was stronger. But now the 2 showed that they were evenly matched. Could it be that Lu Jingqi had hidden her strength before? I hope Jiqing can win. Zhang Yunfeng's eyes were filled with hope. She had already lost in this round. She only hoped that Jiqing could succeed. In this way, in the first round of the promotion, Kanglin College could occupy 4 places and have the upper hand. Xia Jiqing, you are usually so arrogant, but now I don't see how strong you are now. Lu Jingqi sneered, and her eyes were full of ridicule. Xia Jiqing coldly glanced at Lu Jingqi and sneered. Lu Jingqi, this kind of inferior method has no use on me. If you really have the ability, why haven't I seen you defeat me? Seeing that Lu Jingqi to see through her thoughts, Lu Jingqi for a while to see through her thoughts Lu Hongbo's was a. She had to teach a to the end, to teach a to the end. She, but to her had she had been to if in it. Chapter 720. Listening to Xia Jiqing's words, Lu Jingqi was stunned for a moment. Then a mocking smile appeared on her face. Xia Jiqing, who do you think you are? It's not so easy to defeat me. Lu Jingqi only felt that Xia Jiqing was out of her mind. The result of their battle had not been decided yet, but Xia Jiqing wanted to end the battle with such a casual sentence. Could it be that her yuanqi was exhausted and she was out of her mind? Xia Jiqing's yuanqi surged, and a fierce light appeared in her eyes. Whip of fire dance. As Xia Jiqing's voice fell, under the horrified eyes of the crowd, the fiery red whip in Xia Jiqing's hand suddenly emerged with a strong flame. It was like a fire snake, flexible and fierce as it attacked Lu Jingqi. This flame was not a simulation. It really existed, because everyone clearly felt that since the flame appeared, the surrounding temperature had suddenly increased. Lu Jingqi, who was standing opposite Xia Jiqing, felt it the most obvious. Her forehead was faintly oozing sweat, and there was a touch of tension in her eyes. She did not expect Xia Jiqing to have such a powerful move. This move was obviously beyond the scope of yellow-level martial arts. It was at least profound level. As for what level of profound level it was not something that Lu Jingqi could judge. The most important thing was that she did not have such a level of martial arts. When the strength of the two was equal, the level of the martial arts was extremely important. Once she did not have a martial art that could compete, then she was doomed to lose. The faces of the students of Lingyin College also changed a bit. Previously, they had laughed at how weak the cultivators of Kanglin College were. But now it seemed that the cultivators of Kanglin College were not weak. They were even stronger than the cultivators of Beihai College. This is at least a middle-level, profound-level martial arts. This Xia Jiqing is only at the mysterious heaven realm, but she can master a middle-level, profound-level martial arts. I'm afraid that Lu Jingqi will lose. In my opinion, the strength of the cultivators of Kanglin College is not weak. How can they be as weak as the rumors say? There were a lot of discerning people present. They weren't fools. In the previous two inter-college competitions, the results of the Kanglin College weren't very good. But this time, the performance of the Kanglin College was very outstanding. The faces of the students of Beihai College couldn't help but turn ugly. They had originally planned to crush the cultivators of Kanglin College. The best way to slap their faces was to make them unable to advance to the next round. However, the situation was far worse than what they had imagined. In fact, the other party's performance was even better than theirs. Mo Xinghai and Duan Yingwu looked at each other. Their faces were somewhat ugly. They didn't expect the college to be able to hold their heads high this time. The strength of the students was not just a little bit stronger than the previous two batches. A faint and satisfied smile appeared on Huan Chuyou's face. The performance of Bailey Hongzhuang and the rest was indeed outstanding. Old Huan, I didn't expect there to be so many hidden dragons and crouching tigers among the practitioners of the Kanglin College. Jian Xingqiu's face was full of smiles. I didn't hear any news about these good seedlings before. Huan Chuyu smiled. The performance of these little fellows has also exceeded my expectations. Chapter 721. What he wanted was the strength to prove to everyone that his decision was correct. Kanglin College stubbornly persisted in the past beliefs and was bound to perish. However, the performance of Kanglin College had exceeded his expectations. No wonder Run Tianxiong agreed so easily to hold the college tournament in advance. They had already prepared for it. Song Hongxi, the vice principal of Beihai College, was sitting next to Lin Hao. Among the present principals and vice principals, his face was the ugliest. He was also full of confidence in the college tournament. He did not expect that he would feel threatened in the first round of the tournament. Lingyin College was the first, so there was no doubt about it. But if Kanglin College ran ahead of Beihai College this time, it would be really shameful. Vice Principal Song, the strength of the student who was defeated in one move seems to be a bit too weak. Huan Chuyu said slowly, and the indifferent look made Song Hongxi's face gloomy. Huan Chuyu did not like Song Hongxi. Song Hongxi was the vice principal of Beihai College, but now he was like a dog of Lingyin College. All the power was in the hands of Lingyin College. As a cultivator, the most important thing was integrity, not to mention that Song Hongxi was the vice principal of Beihai College. Under the leadership of such a vice principal, how could a student have a good future? In his opinion, Song Hongxi was leading the students astray. Song Hongxi was also spreading unfavorable rumors about Kanglin College everywhere. He was indifferent to fame and fortune and had always been kind to others. But this Song Hongxi, he really could not stand it. Song Hongxi looked at Huan Chuyu with resentment. The reason why Lu Jinglin did not perform well today is because she was injured before the college tournament began. Now the injury has not fully recovered. Song Hongxi naturally would not let Huan Chuyu put the hat of not being strong enough on his head. He immediately found a very suitable excuse. Lin Hao pretended to be surprised. So that's the case. No wonder the result is like this. Since she came to participate in the college tournament, but was injured before the tournament began, it is too careless. Huan Chuyu shook his head. The sarcasm in his words was obvious. Over the years, Beihai College often used the power of Lingyin College to mock Kanglin College, making the enrollment of Kanglin College worse and worse every year. Even the mentors of Beihai College deliberately came to the countries near Kanglan College to find cultivators. Their purpose was to cut off the source of students for Kanglan College. This kind of thing had always made Huan Chuyu and Ren Tianxiong feel very disgusted. Not only that, just before the start of the college exchange, he had also discovered the movements of the people of Beihai College in Kanglan City. It could be seen that over the years, Beihai College had been playing tricks behind their backs. Originally, Huan Chuyu and Ren Tianxiong had planned to ignore this matter. But now that things had come to this point, both sides had already shed all pretense of cordiality, so he didn't mind ridiculing them a little. After all, he couldn't let himself bear this disgust every time. It was better to let Song Hongxi know this feeling. Chapter 722. He couldn't say that Lu Jinglin was also injured by Bailey Hongzhuang before, right? Wasn't that tantamount to asking for humiliation? Therefore, Song Hongxi could only swallow his anger. In fact, Lu Jinglin's performance today was really too unsatisfactory. Boom! An earth-shattering sound rang out, and the scorching heat spread out. Lu Jingqi's figure flew out and landed heavily on the ground. Seeing such a big movement, the onlookers couldn't help but exclaim. Even if they already knew that Xia Jiqing's martial arts were not simple, they didn't expect that the power would be so great. Lu Jingqi, who was previously on par with Xia Jiqing, didn't have the slightest resistance in the face of this move and was directly blasted out. A thick smile appeared on Dongfang Yu's face. Is Xia Jiqing using the inheritance she got in the ruins? Earlier, they had already heard that Xia Jiqing had obtained the inheritance of the whip technique in the ruins. Now it seemed that the power of this move was really powerful. Bailey Hongzhuang nodded slightly. It should be. In the past 3 years, they had already mastered this inheritance in the ruins. From the situation of Xia Jiqing's martial arts, they could judge her grasp of this martial arts. However, this profound level martial arts required a huge amount of energy, and it was very difficult for Xia Jiqing to display it with her strength. After all, the higher the level of the martial arts, the more power it required to display it. If one's strength was not enough and forced to display it, it was likely to cause irreversible damage to oneself. It was even possible that before the martial arts could be displayed, they would already be seriously injured. If she guessed correctly, the martial arts that Xia Jiqing displayed should be a primary profound level martial arts. But because of the uniqueness of the martial arts, it was much stronger than the martial arts of the same level. So it was judged to be a middle profound level martial arts by everyone. In fact, with Xia Jiqing's current cultivation, if she used a middle profound level martial arts, it would not be Lu Jingqi who fell to the ground now, but Xia Jiqing. Lu Jingqi fainted directly under this heavy blow, and Xia Jiqing was also gasping for breath. Obviously, this blow had exhausted all her strength. Xia Jiqing wins. As the voice of the referee fell, a thick smile appeared on Xia Jiqing's face. She finally won. Bailey Hongzhuang quickly walked to the ring where Xia Jiqing was and did not hesitate to put the energy recovery pill into Xia Jiqing's mouth. She had consumed too much energy, and there was still the second round, so she had to restore her energy as soon as possible. Hongzhuang, I won. Xia Jiqing excitedly waved her small fists. This victory was of great significance to her. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled and gave her a thumbs up. You're amazing. Because of you, we beat the Beichin College. Dongfang Yu and the others were also overjoyed. After seeing Xia Jiqing come back, they all gave her a thumbs up. Jiqing, you're too awesome. You won. Everyone's in the first round. S in the first round. In the first round. S to S for heaven. S for S. Chapter 723. Soon, the referee handed over the final result to Jian Qingxiu. After looking at the final result, Jian Qingxiu stood up and announced the result to the public. In this first round of promotion, Lingyin College's promotion is Nangong Xiujia, Nangong Yu Jin Xingyu. Beihai College's promotion is Shaolon Mei, Shueholing, Nanyang Zhe. Kanglan College's promotion is Bailey Hongzhuang, Gong Xiaoqing, Dongfang Yu, Xia Jiqing. With the announcement of the result, the practitioners of Kanglan College cheered. In any case, at least they had stolen the limelight in the first round. I didn't expect Kanglan College to be so powerful. There are actually 4 people who have successfully advanced. Our previous views were wrong. Damn it, I bet on Beihai College to win. Now Beihai College has lost in the first round. How can they be so arrogant? They are really shameless. If I had known, I would have bet on Kanglan College. Kanglan College has the highest odds. Long before the college exchange began, some people had already set up a bet. Because Lingyin College was the undisputed first place in the eyes of everyone, the bet was between Beihai College and Kanglan College. Beihai College's odds were 1-1, while Kanglan College's odds were 1-10. From this point alone, it could be seen how bad the strength of Kanglan College was in the minds of everyone. Even with such a high odds, most people still chose Beihai College. There were very few people who chose Kanglan College. At this moment, seeing that Beihai College was steadily suppressed by Kanglan College, the depression in their hearts could be imagined. However, they could no longer continue to bet. Otherwise, they really wanted to bet on Kanglan College. It was precisely because of this that Beihai College had become the object of everyone's criticism. The faces of Lu Jinglin and the others were ugly to the extreme. They were full of confidence. They did not expect that only 3 people had advanced to the second round. The number of participants was the least, and the possibility of winning was lower. Mo Xinghai and Duan Yingwu's faces were ugly to the extreme. They were extremely arrogant in front of Lu Huayan and Xia Jiqing, but now they did not even dare to look at Lu Huayan and Xia Jiqing. It was too shameful. Your performance this time is really too bad. Mo Xinghai looked unhappily at the group of students behind him. He had spent so much effort teaching them, hoping that they would be able to amaze the world with a single brilliant feat. Who would have thought that what they didn't receive was a shock? Lu Jinglin lowered her head. She was undoubtedly the worst out of all of them. She felt that the teacher could not help but look at her as if he wanted to eat her up. Lu Jingqi was still in a coma. The power of Xia Jiqing's move was too great. Even if she had taken the pill, she would not wake up for a while. Minter, we will definitely do our best in the upcoming competition. Shui Haoling clenched his fists and said, the humiliation he suffered now, he would definitely get it back from the hands of the Azure Water School's cultivators in the next competition. Lu Jinglin looked at Shui Haoling gratefully, because Shui Haoling's words had freed her from her previous predicament. Chapter 724. Minter, the current result does not represent the final result. Xia Jiqing is now exhausted. It is impossible for her to perform well in the next round. Nanyang Zhe said slowly, seeing Shui Haoling and Nanyang Zhe's statements. Mo Xinghai and Duan Yingwu's faces looked better. Although in the first round of the promotion tournament, Kanglan College had more places than them, but the promotion tournament was held consecutively and there was no time to rest. With Xia Jiqing's current state, she would not be able to recover before the start of the next round. The result of elimination was already doomed. In the next round, such mistakes are not allowed. Duan Yingwu's attitude was tough. The strength of the students represented the strength of the mentors. If the students did not perform well, they would also lose face. Yes, Shui Haoling and Nanyang Zhe nodded together. They would do their best in the next battle. Compared to Shui Haoling and Nanyang Zhe's statements, Xiaolan Mei was as indifferent as ever and did not say anything. Mo Xinghai and Duan Yingwu were also very familiar with the character of Xiaolan Mei. Xiaolan Mei was the trump card of Beihai College. Even the third prince, Nangong Yujin, lost in the hands of Xiaolan Mei. It could be seen that Xiaolan Mei would definitely be able to enter the finals. Now everyone has an hour to rest. I hope everyone can adjust their state as soon as possible to participate in the second round of the promotion tournament. After Jian Qingqiu announced the break time, everyone gathered in the rest area to rest. There's only an hour of rest. I am afraid it will be difficult for me to recover. Xia Jiqing's eyebrows wrinkled slightly. Previously, she had used the dancing fire whip, and her body was completely drained. Even if she took the qi recovery pill, it would not be able to recover in a short time. It was like a person who had been hungry for a few days suddenly had food, but he was already extremely weak. Even if he ate the food, it was impossible to immediately restore his strength. It was impossible for her to recover in 2 hours. An hour is really too short. Dongfeng Yu frowned. Fortunately, they were not injured. Otherwise, once they were seriously injured, it meant that they would not be able to participate in the next promotion tournament. This method is too unreasonable. Zhang Yunfeng's face was full of indignation. In this way, the advantage they had gained in the first round had disappeared. Jiqing did not even have the strength to fight. How could she compete? This rule is somewhat unreasonable, but when it treats everyone equally, it becomes reasonable. Bailey Hongzhuang's expression was indifferent. This rule was not targeted at them, but was applied to everyone, so they had no right to protest. The only thing they could do was to accept it. Hearing Bailey Hongzhuang's words, everyone's expression changed. They were indeed unhappy about this, but Hongzhuang's words made sense. If the cultivators of the other two academies didn't complain, but they kept harping on this point, it would seem that they were too petty. Xia Jiqing's face showed a bit of helplessness. She had expected such a result, so she had not used her fire dancing whip. Chapter 725. Xia Jiqing was very depressed. From the beginning, she knew that it was impossible for her to enter the finals with her strength. Since she knew that her opponent in the first round was Lu Jingqi, she couldn't help but feel a little lucky. If she could use ordinary means to get rid of Lu Jingqi and advance to the second round, then she could use the fire dance whip in the second round to help her teammates clear an obstacle. Now, they were a team, and all she did was to hope that the team could go further. However, her wishful thinking did not succeed in the end, and she wasted an excellent opportunity. Bailey Hongzhuang patted Xia Jiqing's shoulder and said, "You are already very good. Don't think too much." Xia Jiqing nodded and smiled at Bailey Hongzhuang, but this smile was always with a bit of disappointment. "Jiqing, I will help you with acupuncture. Maybe it can improve a little," Bailey Hongzhuang said slowly. Using acupuncture, she could stimulate the meridians and cells in Jiqing's body, helping Jiqing absorb the qi recovery pill at the fastest speed. In this way, it may help Xia Jiqing recover. Hearing this, Xia Jiqing couldn't help but be startled. "Will this method work?" Bailey Hongzhuang smiled. "If I say it will work, naturally it will work. Don't forget who I am." Xia Jiqing's eyes lit up. Hongzhuang was a famous doctor. "Hongzhuang, you are the hope of our Kangling College to enter the finals. Using acupuncture will consume mental power. Are you sure?" Zhang Yunfeng's eyes were full of worry. If possible, she naturally hoped that Xia Jiqing could recover her strength, but if this affected Hongzhuang's performance, it would not be a good thing. Xia Jiqing also quickly said, "Yunfeng is right, Hongzhuang. You don't have to help me. You are the most important." It was not a pity that she failed, but if it dragged Hongzhuang down, then she would be a sinner. Bailey Hongzhuang waved her hand. "Don't worry, this is just stimulating the meridians, not detoxifying or curing. It is not so complicated, and it will not take much energy." "Hongzhuang, is what you said true?" Xia Jiqing asked uncertainly. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled and nodded. "Of course it is true. Why would I lie to you about this kind of thing?" Xia Jiqing couldn't help but look at Zhang Yunfeng, and Zhang Yunfeng also nodded. "Since Hongzhuang said it's okay, then we might as well try it." In the next moment, Bailey Hongzhuang directly took out a silver needle. Her body's spirit power surged as she slowly poured it into the needle, steadily and accurately piercing it into Xia Jiqing's acupuncture point. This was the first time that Xia Jiqing had experienced acupuncture. Originally, she thought that such a long needle would be very painful, but after Hongzhuang inserted the needle, she did not feel the slightest pain. She only felt a soreness at the place where the silver needle was inserted, but she felt very comfortable. Bailey Hongzhuang directly took out a white porcelain bottle and handed it to Xia Jiqing, saying, "There are qi-returning pills inside. Take 2 first." If Xia Jiqing relied on cultivation to restore her qi, an hour was certainly not enough, so the qi-returning pills were particularly important. Xia Jiqing looked at the whole bottle of qi-returning pills in her hand, and her heart was filled with emotion. Chapter 726. Looking at Hong Zhuang's indifferent look, even a royal princess couldn't be so extravagant, right? In fact, after Nangang Yu saw Bailey Hong Zhuang's move, there was a strange color in her eyes. She naturally had no problem taking out a whole bottle of qi recovery pills, but it was too wasteful to give it to others. Lu Jinglin, do you know what Bailey Hong Zhuang is doing? Lu Jingqi had fainted, so Nangang Yu's eyes fell on Lu Jinglin. In her opinion, the two sisters were the same. Lu Jinglin shook her head slightly. It's just a claptrap. Bailey Hong Zhuang likes to be the focus of everyone's attention at any time. Hearing this, Nangang Yu looked at Bailey Hong Zhuang with a hint of disgust. She originally didn't have a good impression of Bailey Hong Zhuang, and now she was even more disgusted. Oh, Bailey Hong Zhuang, you don't want to help Xia Jiqing restore her fighting strength, do you? Shui Haoling looked at Bailey Hong Zhuang sarcastically. Everyone knew that Xia Jiqing was exhausted, and it was impossible to restore her strength in a short time. Although this 2-hour break was short, it would be of great help to them. Bailey Hong Zhuang spent this time on Xia Jiqing. Wasn't she looking for trouble? Bailey Hong Zhuang glanced at Shui Haoling and said lazily, "Congratulations, you got it right." Seeing Bailey Hong Zhuang directly affirm his judgment, Shui Haoling was also stunned, and then laughed. You really like to play a generous and selfless drama. Previously, you gave the inscription of Wubao Pavilion to your teammates, and now you are wasting your energy to save a useless teammate. If the cultivators of Kangling College are so soft-hearted, I think you might as well give up the competition. Shui Haoling disliked Bailey Hong Zhuang very much. At this time, the most important thing was to restore oneself to peak condition. Bailey Hong Zhuang's action was tantamount to going for wool and coming home shorn. However, Bailey Hong Zhuang couldn't be bothered with Shui Haoling. Toward a selfish guy like him, he never cared about the team's interests. Right now, they were fighting for the academy, not relying on their own strength. If all the cultivators of the Kangling School failed in the first round and only one person advanced to the end, what was the use? Shui Haoling, in my opinion, you and the Lu sisters are not an ordinary match. Xia Jiqing's eyes flashed with anger and displeasure. Don't pursue Lu Jinglin. Just be the eldest sister of the Lu family. This character of yours is exactly the same as the two sisters of the Lu family. If anyone dared to mock them, Xia Jiqing would definitely be the first to fight back. Lu Jinglin and her sister were fine, but now Lu Jingqi was knocked out by her. Her ears were finally quiet, but Shui Haoling appeared again. Wasn't he looking for trouble? Listening to Xia Jiqing's words, Shui Haoling's face was ugly. For a man, what was the most unbearable comment? That was others saying that he was not a man. Xia Jiqing said it. It was really unbearable. Xia Jiqing, you are a waste that can only drag your teammates down. What other skills do you have besides having a strong mouth? Shui Haoling said coldly. Chapter 727. With just a simple sentence, Xia Jiqing won the battle of words. A loser was a loser. At least she successfully advanced to the second round. Compared to Lu Jingqi, who was defeated by her, she was a lot stronger. Lu Jinglin was annoyed. Jingqi had fainted. Even if she took the pill, she still had not woken up. Now, Xia Jiqing was trying to drag Jingqi into this matter. It was really hateful. The Kangling College has lost twice in a row. This time, they're getting more and more unconventional. They are playing to the gallery. Nangang Xiujia's eyes fell on Bailey Hong Zhuang. For Bailey Hong Zhuang, he did not have the same admiration as before. This woman was definitely not a simple character. Just her and Mo Yunjua's identity was not simple. Not to mention she defeated Lu Jinglin in one move. According to the information they had, Bailey Hong Zhuang was also a cultivator who broke through to the innate realm. Bailey Hong Zhuang did not have a powerful background. She was just an ordinary person, but she was able to break through to the innate realm at such an age. This was a very great talent. Even he could not break through to the innate realm at the same age as Bailey Hong Zhuang. It was best for this woman to fail as soon as possible. Seeing that Nangong Xiujia took the initiative to find trouble, Bailey Hongzhuang continued to help Xia Jiqing with acupuncture and sneered, "The temperament of the royal family has never changed." As soon as these words came out, Nangong Xiujia's face turned ugly. He thought that Bailey Hongzhuang would be worried about his identity as a prince and would not say this here. He did not think that Bailey Hongzhuang's idea was different. Not only did she not restrain herself, she even said it out loud. A slightly strange gaze fell on Nangong Xiujia. They had a certain understanding of the dissolute nature of the two princes. Looking at the posture of Nangong Xiujia and Bailey Hongzhuang, did something happen between the two of them that they did not know about? As soon as they thought of Bailey Hongzhuang's stunning beauty, they vaguely understood something. Otherwise, with Nangong Xiujia's character, how could he come directly to Bailey Hongzhuang if there was no previous conflict? "Bailey Hongzhuang, you'd better pray that you don't meet me in the next competition, otherwise you'll die a very ugly death." Nangong Xiujia's eyes flashed with a fierce light, and his words were full of threats. He didn't have the slightest interest in a married woman. Bailey Hongzhuang had already provoked his anger. He must teach Bailey Hongzhuang a lesson. "You'd better pray that you don't meet me." Bailey Hongzhuang's voice was slightly cold, and her dark and bright phoenix eyes were filled with cold light. She also did not have a good impression of Nangong Xiujia. She was never afraid of a head-on confrontation. Originally, she was just too lazy to pay attention to these provocations, but since they came to Lingyin College, these people's provocations and sarcasm had never stopped. It was as if she was afraid of them if she ignored them. In this case, she would show her strong side. No matter how strong the opponent was, she would explode all the way. Chapter 728. Nangong Xiujia only felt that it was very funny. This Bailey Hongzhuang really thought of herself as a big shot. With her innate cultivation, it was naturally easy to deal with cultivators below the innate level. If it was him, he could also deal with Lu Jinglin in one move. Wasn't Bailey Hongzhuang a bit too arrogant at the moment? It was just a little bit of ability. Did she really think that she was so great? Looking at Bailey Hongzhuang, Nangong Xiujia was too lazy to pay attention to her. One sentence was enough. If he was long-winded, he would become the same as Shui Haoling. Bailey Hongzhuang helped Xia Jiqing with acupuncture, while Xia Jiqing was constantly swallowing the energy recovery pills. In this process, Xia Jiqing was surprised to find that the feeling of exhaustion in her body had gradually dissipated. It was as if every meridian and every cell in her body was greedily absorbing the energy contained in the qi recovery pill. Xia Jiqing's eyes were getting brighter and brighter. She admired Bailey Hongzhuang more and more. Hongzhuang's acupuncture technique was really amazing. After Bailey Hongzhuang took back the silver needles, Zhang Yinfeng and the others came to the side of Bailey Hongzhuang and said, "Jiqing, how do you feel?" "I have recovered. The previous feeling of exhaustion has disappeared." Xia Jiqing's face was full of excitement. Her whole body was jumping up and down, using her actions to prove her current physical condition. Looking at this scene, Zhang Yinfeng and the others all had a happy smile on their faces. They did not expect that in less than half an hour, Xia Jiqing had recovered to this point. It was a great thing for the next competition. On the other hand, the cultivators of Lingyin College and Beihai College were also stunned at the moment. Xia Jiqing's relaxed appearance was obviously not fake. It was not that they had never experienced the feeling of exhaustion. After the real exhaustion, the body would fall into extreme fatigue and it would be very difficult to move. The situation of Xia Jiqing in front of them was simply beyond the scope of exhaustion. It was hard to imagine how Xia Jiqing could recover in such a short time. "How is this possible?" Lu Jinglin exclaimed. All of them believed that Xia Jiqing could not recover successfully, but the situation in front of them made them unable to refute. Shui Haoling's expression turned even uglier. He had previously mocked Bailey Hongzhuang for doing useless things, but from the looks of the current situation, how could Bailey Hongzhuang be doing useless things? She had clearly helped Songlan College recover a fighting strength. How did Bailey Hongzhuang do it? Shui Haoling looked as if he had seen a ghost. All this time, he only knew that there was no way to treat exhaustion. The only way was to let the cultivator recover on their own, but it would take a long time. But now that this scene had happened in front of them, they still couldn't understand how Bailey Hongzhuang did it. Xiao Lamei's eyes fell on Bailey Hongzhuang's body. This Bailey Hongzhuang, since the first time they met, had already shown her extraordinariness. With today's contact, he only felt that Bailey Hongzhuang was getting more and more complicated. That silver needle, it seemed to be very similar to a method passed down by doctors. Nangong Xiujia and Nangong Yujin looked at each other. This was a very amazing method. Chapter 729. The eyes of the onlookers were also locked on Bailey Hongzhuang. They still had a good impression of Bailey Hongzhuang. Even if Bailey Hongzhuang was a student of the Kanglan College, she had successfully defeated the cultivator with a simple blow and successfully showed her strength. Miss Bailey from the Kanglan College is so powerful. What kind of great method is this? It can even cure this exhaustion? I don't know, I have never heard of it, but it is really powerful. I think this time the Kanglan College is likely to be a big dark horse. Lingyin College is still the strongest. Bailey Hongzhuang has offended the second prince. She will definitely not have a good end. The students of the Lingyin College immediately began to refute after hearing such remarks. In their hearts, the prince was not allowed to be slandered. Bailey Hongzhuang dared to offend the prince in public. This was definitely courting death. On the high platform, Jian Qingqiu looked at Bailey Hongzhuang with a strange expression. This was also beyond his expectations. Old Huan, what Bailey Hongzhuang just used, was it acupuncture? As the principal of the Lingyin College, Jian Qingqiu had seen a lot of things. Although the art of acupuncture had been lost for many years, he still remembered it as a highly sought-after method in medicine. Acupuncture has been lost for many years. How could it appear in the hands of a little girl? Without waiting for Huan Chuyu to answer, Sang Hongxi had already taken the lead to speak. His face was full of disbelief. What a joke! Acupuncture in moxibustion was a method that many famous doctors had not mastered. It had long disappeared in the annals of history. Bailey Hongzhuang was just a cultivator, not a professional medical student. How could she master such a great method? Hearing this, Jian Qingqiu's eyes changed a bit. Could it be that he was really thinking too much? Although he also felt that this conjecture was a bit ridiculous, Bailey Hongzhuang's method really looked like the lost acupuncture. The next moment, under the stunned eyes of Jian Qingqiu and Sang Hongxi, Huan Chuyu slowly nodded. Yes, it is acupuncture. Principal Jian has good eyesight. As the voice of Huan Chuyu fell, Jian Qingqiu and Sang Hongxi both had an unspeakable shock in their hearts. The Kanglan College really broke out this time. The strength of the students was really much stronger than before. It was said that in this team, Bailey Hongzhuang and Xia Jiqing were both first-year students. When they first heard about it, they only thought that the Azure Water School was getting worse year after year. Their talents had withered, and they even sent out first-year students. But looking at the current situation, Bailey Hongzhuang and Xia Jiqing had successfully advanced to the next round. It could be seen that the strength of the first-year students was much stronger than they had imagined. Old Huan Chuyu, are you kidding? How? Looking at Sang Hongxi's probing and suspicious gaze, Huan Chuyu felt a burst of pride. Over the years, Sang Hongxi has been ridiculing them for having too many people. Now, Sang Hongxi finally showed such an expression. You don't know this. Bailey Hongzhuang is not only a cultivator, she is also a real doctor. Chapter 730. Huan Chuyu smiled very brightly. Bailey Hongzhuang was really the pride of the Kanglan College. Even he couldn't help but marvel at Bailey Hongzhuang's achievements. She could have such strength at such a young age. Her future was really limitless. Jian Qingqiu and Sang Hongxi looked at each other. Although Huan Chuyu's smile was very annoying in their eyes, this result still surprised them both. The Kanglan College really can't judge a book by its cover. The students really have many aspects of development. Jian Qingqiu smiled faintly. There was still some disdain in his heart. This kind of thing looked very prestigious, But as the principal, he knew very well how bad it was for a cultivator to do two things at once. Cultivation was a very time-consuming and energy-consuming thing. If you also had to take care of other things at this time, perhaps it was not obvious in the early stages of cultivation. But later on, the gap would become bigger and bigger, which was not a good thing at all. Huan Chu also heard the disdain in Jian Qingqiu's words. In fact, he also had this idea at the beginning. However, now that he saw Bailey Hongzhuang's progress, he felt that his previous judgment was wrong. In this world, there were some geniuses who couldn't be measured by common sense. After Xia Jiqing recovered, Bailey Hongzhuang and the others gathered together. The second round of the promotion competition was also very important. They had to be prepared. When I fought with Xue Haoling before, I was completely defeated by Xue Haoling's inscriptions. Xue Haoyan's face was full of resentment. His strength was not weaker than Xue Haoling, but Xue Haoling's weapon inscriptions were very powerful. It was because of this disadvantage that he lost to Xue Haoling. If it was only because his strength was not enough and he lost, then it was fine. But it was because of external reasons that he lost, which made him very angry. Inscriptions? Gong Shaoqing frowned slightly. It seems that Xue Haoling bought inscriptions from Wubao Pavilion. His weapon was also blessed with inscriptions, but in the first round of the promotion competition, he did not use the inscriptions. Shaoqing is right. Xue Haoling has always been rich and overbearing. It's not strange for him to buy an inscription from Wubao Pavilion. Dong Fangyu nodded slightly. Then what is the effect of Xue Haoling's inscription? That inscription has a flame effect and is very lethal. If you're not careful, you may be burned by it. If you encounter it, you must be more careful. Hearing this, Xia Jiqing couldn't help but frown. The inscriptions we saw in the Wubao Pavilion that day did not have a fire attribute inscription. The whip technique she inherited in the ruins was of the fire attribute, so she paid a lot of attention to the inscriptions of the fire attribute. Just like her character, she was very energetic. That day in the Wubao Pavilion, she searched for a long time, but did not find any fire attribute inscriptions, so she chose to give up. She did not expect Xue Haoling to find a fire attribute inscription in the Wubao Pavilion. Maybe it was put in later. Zhang Yunfeng frowned. This was not impossible. While Zhang Yunfeng and others were guessing, Xue Haoling was also showing off his inscriptions to the cultivators of Beihai College. Haha, I didn't expect my inscription to be so powerful. Chapter 731. As Xue Haoling's voice fell, the cultivators of Beihai College all looked at Xue Haoling. Previously, they were only focused on their own battles and did not notice the situation of Xue Haoling's battle. At this moment, after hearing Xue Haoling's words, they realized that Xue Haoling had actually obtained an inscription. Xue Haoling, where did you get this inscription? Lu Jinglin's face showed some curiosity. Previously, they had not bought an inscription in the Wubao Pavilion. Although they went to the Wubao Pavilion the next day, the price of the inscriptions was really too high. They also understood that the third floor of the Wubao Pavilion was a place for the 3 inscription masters to communicate with each other. As for selling the inscription, it was just a bonus. If Xue Haoling's Chinquan bag was not lost, he could still afford it. But since it was lost, there was nothing he could do. Looking at the curious expression of the crowd, Xue Haoling's smile became more and more proud. Previously, when my elders participated in the auction, they specially bought it for me. I did not expect this inscription to be so useful. Then your inscription should be very expensive, right? The price of the inscription at the auction was the highest. Xue Haoling waved his hand indifferently. It's not expensive, it's nothing at all. My elders bought 3 inscriptions, gave me 1 and gave the other 2 to my brothers. Although Xue Haoling said it was not expensive, no one took it to heart. Who did not know that Xue Haoling was rich? What he said was not expensive did not mean it was really not expensive. Inscriptions have always been very precious. Not to mention that Xue Haoling's inscription had such a good effect. Its value was definitely not cheap. Feeling the envious look of Lu Jinglin and the others, Xue Haoling also snickered in his heart. In fact, the price of the inscription was really not expensive. After the elders bought it, they did not care too much about it. Giving it to him was just better than nothing. He originally wanted to buy an inscription in the Wubao Pavilion, but he did not expect the price to be too high. He could only give up. Last night, he was thinking about participating in the competition today. Although the effect of the inscription may not be very good, after using it, it may be of some help to him. However, after using it today, he found that the inscription was not only a little help, it was a great help. If it weren't for the help of this talisman, he wouldn't have been able to defeat Shui Haoyin so easily. This talisman was truly a powerful weapon. Xiao Lanmei's eyes also fell on the fiery red inscription on Shui Haoling's weapon. He noticed that the amplification effect of this inscription was really powerful. The role of an inscription master was really great. If the strength of two people was not too different, then the inscription could directly affect the final outcome. That Shui Haoling is showing off. Shui Haoyin's eyebrows were full of displeasure. This annoying guy loved to show off. Shui Haoling also noticed Shui Haoyin's angry look. He couldn't help but raise his weapon high with a smug expression. Bumpkin, if you want to blame someone, blame yourself for not being able to afford the inscription. If you could afford it, then perhaps the ending would not be like this, haha. Shui Haoling did not think there was any problem with winning by relying on inscriptions. After all, wealth was also a part of strength. Chapter 732. Shui Haoyin was enraged when he saw Shui Haoling's smug look. This was the first time he had met such a shameless fellow. However, he had to admit that Shui Haoling's words were not without reason. It was precisely because he did not have sufficient financial resources that he had lost to Shui Haoling in this aspect. If he had Shui Haoling's financial resources, perhaps the outcome of this competition would have been different. Unfortunately, this was only his imagination. Master, why do I feel that this fellow's inscription looks rather familiar? Xiao Hei's eyes flickered with a puzzled light. It had a vague feeling that it had seen this inscription somewhere before. Suddenly, Xiao Bai's eyes lit up and it exclaimed in shock. Master, isn't this exactly the same as the inscription that you've drawn? Previously, its master had been drawing the same inscription, so it had a very deep impression of it. This pattern was exactly the same as the one that its master had drawn. Hearing this, Bailey Hongzhuang was stunned. It must be a coincidence. She had only auctioned off 3 inscriptions in total, and they had all been auctioned off in Tsanglan City. How far was North Sea City from Tsanglan City? The probability of this was simply too small. But Master, that 6-pointed star pattern is exactly the same as the one that you've drawn. Bai Shi had also noticed the totem on Shui Haoling's weapon. When its master had been drawing the inscription, it had been staring at the 6-pointed star pattern. Even if it's a 6-pointed star pattern, it might not have been drawn by me. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled faintly. The 6-pointed star pattern was only one of the structures on the inscription paper. Many inscriptions would have such a structure. However, when the pattern was formed at the end, the effect might not be the same. But I feel that it's clearly the same. Xiao Hei's expression was serious. I dare to bet a meal that the inscription was drawn by you, Master. Seeing that Xiao Hei had suddenly become so bold, Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes flashed with astonishment. After getting along for so long, she also had a certain understanding of Xiao Hei's character. If she did not have enough confidence, Xiao Hei would definitely not say such a thing. Thinking of this, Bailey Hongzhuang could not help but look at Shui Haoling, who was not far away, and said, Shui Haoling, your inscription is so great. I wonder if you can lend it to me? With Bailey Hongzhuang's voice fell, everyone looked at Bailey Hongzhuang in surprise. This kind of action was not in line with Bailey Hongzhuang's character. Bailey Hongzhuang's words. Xia Jiqing and the others were puzzled. Why was Hongzhuang suddenly interested in Shui Haoling's inscription? According to their understanding, Hongzhuang hated Shui Haoling to the core. Shui Haoyin's heart was secretly thinking. Previously in Wubao Pavilion, it had already been proven that Bailey Hongzhuang had a certain understanding of inscriptions. Was it possible that Hongzhuang wanted to know more about Shui Haoling's inscription so that she could adopt a strategy? In Shui Haoyin's heart, Bailey Hongzhuang had never been a person who spoke without thinking. There must be a deep meaning for her to suddenly do this. Shui Haoling, is Bailey Hongzhuang plotting something? When Lu Jinglin saw this, she could not help but show a touch of worry. Now, the team of Beihai College was at a disadvantage. If Bailey Hongzhuang destroyed Shui Haoling's inscription, then their situation would be even worse. Chapter 733. Shui Haoling looked at Bailey Hongzhuang with interest, chuckled, and said, "Since you want to see it, I will lend it to you, but don't break it." Seeing Shui Haoling so proud, a light smile appeared in Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes. This guy really liked to show off. "Don't worry, since it is your favorite, I will naturally not damage it," Bailey Hongzhuang said lightly. Shui Haoling raised his eyebrows and slowly walked in front of Bailey Hongzhuang. The sword swayed in front of Bailey Hongzhuang, and the six-pointed star pattern clearly fell into the eyes of Bailey Hongzhuang. "See?" Shui Haoling smiled, "but I guess you can't understand it." However, when Bailey Hongzhuang saw the pattern clearly, she was speechless, because this inscription was clearly from her hand, but how could it fall into the hands of Shui Haoling? Shui Haoling, this inscription was not bought by your family elders in Kanglan City, right? Bailey Hongzhuang slowly said. She had already heard Shui Haoling say that this inscription was bought by his elders at the auction. In this case, this inscription was most likely bought in Kanglan City. It was impossible for someone else to buy it in Kanglan City and then sell it to the auction house and then fall into the hands of Shui Haoling. The probability of this happening was simply too small. As soon as these words came out, Shui Haoling's expression changed a bit. This news, he did not tell anyone. How did Bailey Hongzhuang know? On the other side, Lu Huayin and Fu Hongba's eyes fell on Shui Haoling. Bailey Hongzhuang would not ask this question for no reason. She must have her reasons. However, as a cultivator of Beihai College, Shui Haoling actually appeared in Kanglan City. This was too strange. Looking at Shui Haoling's expression, Bailey Hongzhuang was sure that her guess was correct. Shui Haoling's elder had gone to Songlan City, and shortly before the start of the exchange meeting, it was very likely that he was there to investigate the situation of Songlan College. For a long time, she had only thought that the college exchange meeting was a feast at Hongman. She did not expect that the tentacles of Beihai College had already extended to Kanglan College. This was really too much. Not only Shui Haoling, but even the faces of Lu Jinglin and the others changed. The situation of Kanglan College was never a secret in their eyes. Their purpose was to destroy Kanglan College. However, now that Bailey Hongzhuang had brought it up, it was a little awkward. The atmosphere became subtle for a moment, and the three teams present were well aware of it. Lu Huayin and Fu Hongba looked at Mo Xinghai with displeasure, while Duan Yingwu felt that Beihai College was getting more and more despicable. Huan Qiu's face was also ugly. They had already noticed the movements of Beihai College before, but they did not expect them to send someone this time. Although the biggest enemy of Kanglan College was Lingyin College at least disdained to use such means. On the contrary, Beihai College was like a despicable villain, doing some shameful things that made people feel disgusted. Shui Haoling quickly denied Bailey Hongzhuang's conjecture. How could this inscription be in a place like Kanglan City, where even birds don't shit? I think you must be mistaken. Chapter 734. However, Shui Haoling's words had successfully provoked the anger of the Songlan College's cultivators. "What did you say?" "I think Beihai City is a place where even birds don't shit," Shui Haoyin said coldly. "This Shui Haoling really can't say anything good," Shui Haoling said sarcastically. "Am I wrong? If Songlan City is not a place where even birds don't shit, why can't you guys buy inscriptions there?" Shui Haoling's lies were getting smoother and smoother. "I'll tell you, I bought this inscription in Beihai City. It's useless to be envious." Hearing this, Shui Haoyin coldly looked at Shui Haoling. In fact, Songlan City really didn't sell inscriptions. Even so, Azure Water City was still an extremely prosperous and affluent city. It was completely different from what Shui Haoling had described as a desolate place. "Beihai City is full of trash like you. We don't envy you at all," Xiao Jiqing said contemptuously. Shui Haoling looked at Xia Jiqing with disgust. You're so stubborn. Don't secretly go to Beihai City to buy inscriptions. Bailey Hongzhuang's lips curved into a sarcastic smile. This kind of ordinary inscription, why do we need to spend effort to buy it? As soon as her voice fell, Shui Haoling sneered. Bailey Hongzhuang, isn't it too obvious that you're sour grapes? Since you say it's just an ordinary inscription, take it out if you have the ability. I saw that in your Songlan City team. Except for Gong, Xiaoqing, who got an inscription in Wubao Pavilion, the others didn't even get one. Shui Haoling was very proud. He had personally tested the effect of this inscription. It had a fire attribute attack power, and the effect was excellent. The fire attribute was very explosive and had great lethality. It was very suitable for attacking. The onlookers also felt that Bailey Hongzhuang was boasting shamelessly. Even if it was the most ordinary inscription, it wasn't something that ordinary people could come into contact with. Even some people had never seen a real inscription. Wasn't Bailey Hongzhuang digging a hole for herself by saying such words at this moment? Song Hongshi's eyes were also filled with ridicule. This Bailey Hongzhuang is indeed strong, but it's ridiculous to boast so shamelessly just because she has a little strength. Feeling the ridicule in Song Hongshi's words, Huan Chio's gaze also fell on Bailey Hongzhuang. In fact, he didn't understand what Bailey Hongzhuang was trying to do. Could it be that she was angered by Shui Haoling's actions and said such irrational words? However, according to his understanding of Bailey Hongzhuang would not do such an immature thing. Bailey Hongzhuang's lips curled up slightly. Her delicate and beautiful face was filled with an enchanting and playful smile. Originally, she didn't know the real effect of her inscription, so she took it out for auction. She didn't expect the other party to leave directly after bidding for the inscription. She didn't know much about the effect of the inscription. Since then, although she concentrated on drawing the inscription, she had never used it. Now, Shui Haoling had personally helped her to prove the power of the inscription. She didn't have to worry about it anymore. If I take it out, what will you do? Bailey Hongzhuang asked. Chapter 735. Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes lit up. Originally, she just wanted to provoke Shui Haoling. She did not expect that Shui Haoling would dig a hole and bury himself in it. Are you serious about what you said? Of course. Without waiting for Lu Jinglin to stop him, Shui Haoling's words had already blurted out. He did not believe that Bailey Hongzhuang could come up with the exact same inscription. If Bailey Hongzhuang really had it, she would not wait until now to take it out. Seeing that Shui Haoling agreed so quickly, Lu Jinglin's eyes also showed a touch of helplessness. She always felt that Bailey Hongzhuang's sudden change of attitude was a conspiracy. With her understanding of Shui Haoling, this inscription was most likely bought in Kanglan City. Bailey Hongzhuang had always lived in Kanglan City, so it was not impossible. In that case, I will let you see it. The next moment, in the shocked eyes of everyone, Bailey Hongzhuang directly took out a thick stack of inscriptions from her Qingquan bag. Yes, it was a thick stack. When he saw the same red six-pointed star pattern, Shui Haoling's eyes almost turned black. How is this possible? Are you kidding me? So many inscriptions. Are you selling inscriptions? Even if you're selling inscriptions, you don't need to sell so many of them, right? Xia Jiqing and the others were also dumbfounded. Hongzhuang was going against the heavens. So many inscriptions, how much would it cost? Bailey Hongzhuang took out an inscription and shook it in front of Shui Haoling. Isn't this the inscription you are proud of? As she said, Bailey Hongzhuang casually played with the inscription in her hand and said, I just think that the effect of this inscription is very ordinary. If it is used on a weapon, it will affect the future of the weapon, so I have never used it. I didn't expect you to be so proud of this ordinary inscription. If I don't take it out for you to see, I am afraid that you will not know how vast the world is. Immediately afterward, Bailey Hongzhuang handed the inscriptions one by one to Xia Jiqing and the others. She looked a little helpless. If I had known earlier, I would have given you this inscription earlier. It would have saved some petty people from becoming a laughingstock. In fact, Bailey Hongzhuang did have some regrets. Previously, She had only used this inscription to practice her inscription technique. She did not understand the function of this inscription. If she had known that this would be the result, she would have given the inscription to everyone. At least, Cui Haoyin would not have been defeated by Shui Haoling. Cui Haoyin and the others received the inscriptions from Bailey Hongzhuang in a daze. Their eyes were full of disbelief. For a long time, they knew that Bailey Hongzhuang was a local tyrant when it came to alchemy, but they didn't expect that Bailey Hongzhuang was also a local tyrant when it came to inscriptions. Who had ever seen inscriptions given away for free? In this world, in addition to Bailey Hongzhuang, they were afraid that there was no second person who could do this. The cultivators of Beihai College were greatly impacted. Previously, they had also noticed how much the inscriptions of Shui Haoling had increased and were very envious. They did not expect that now Bailey Hongzhuang would take out so many inscriptions. Even if it was distributed to everyone in Kanglan College, there would still be a surplus. This was going against the heavens. What kind of weirdo did Kanglan College produce this time? Even if Nangong, Xiujia, and the others were calm, at this moment, after seeing this situation, they were inevitably stunned. Chapter 736. Nangong, Xiujia, and Nangong Yujin looked at each other, and their eyes were filled with disbelief. So many inscriptions. Who was this Bailey Hongzhuang? Even if it was the most common inscription, it was impossible for an average person to get so many. Was it possible that Bailey Hongzhuang knew an inscription master? Song Hongxi, who was originally mocking Huan Chuyu, couldn't help but change his expression after seeing this scene. The smug smile on his face had disappeared. Huan Chuyu was also stunned for a moment, and the smile in his eyes gradually widened. This Bailey Hongzhuang really could bring a huge surprise every time she did something. However, there was no inscription master in Kanglan City. How did Bailey Hongzhuang know that Shui Haoling's inscription was bought in Kanglan City? Huan Chuyu's eyes flashed with a light of thought. The inscription master who drew this inscription must have a certain relationship with Bailey Hongzhuang. Otherwise, Bailey Hongzhuang wouldn't have so many inscriptions. Vice Principal Song, it seems that you have misjudged her. Huan Chuyu smiled faintly. He was the winner of the game between him and Song Hongxi. Song Hongxi's face was a bit ugly. No one would have thought that Bailey Hongzhuang would do such a thing. With so many inscriptions, it even made people doubt whether this was true or not. It was just that as the vice principal, it was not convenient for him to say too much about this kind of thing. He could only let Huan Chuyu be proud. Jian Qingxiu and Song Hongxi looked at each other. According to the news they had received, Bailey Hongzhuang was the trump card of Kanglan College. Although there had been a promotion competition, Lu Jinglin didn't test Bailey Hongzhuang at all. Now it seemed that this Bailey Hongzhuang was indeed not a simple character. Hongzhuang, you just gave us the inscription directly? Cui Haoyin's face was stunned. Although Bailey Hongzhuang's actions had already explained her thoughts, he still couldn't help but ask. After all, the value of inscriptions was much more expensive than medicinal pills. They couldn't just accept such an expensive item, right? Bailey Hongzhuang nodded gently, her beautiful face rippling with a faint smile. Of course. Hongzhuang, this thing is too precious. We can't, Dongfang Yu slowly said. They definitely couldn't accept such a precious thing. Without waiting for Dongfang Yu to finish speaking, Bailey Hongzhuang interrupted him. We're all good friends. There's no need to be polite. But this Dongfang Yu was in a bit of a dilemma. Even if it was an ordinary inscription, it wasn't easy to obtain it. Moreover, the effect of the inscription was so good that they couldn't just accept it. Bailey Hongzhuang waved her hand. This inscription is not worth much, so you don't have to feel burdened. Besides, this inscription will be good for everyone in the upcoming competition. Hearing this, Dongfang Yu nodded silently. For them now, the most important thing was the next competition. As long as they could get better results in the competition, this inscription would play a huge role. Xia Jiqing didn't know what to say at the moment. She could only say that it was really a blessing to be friends with a local tyrant. Zhang Yunfeng and the others looked at the inscription in their hands and were full of gratitude to Bailey Hongzhuang. Chapter 737. However, This scene was not the case in the eyes of the cultivators of Beihai College. Everyone knew that the value of the inscription was not cheap, but Bailey Hongzhuang gave it away so easily. How bold was she? Thinking back to the day when Bailey Hongzhuang did not hesitate to give the inscription of Wubao Pavilion to Gong Shaoqing, they thought that Bailey Hongzhuang was deliberately being generous. Now it seemed that Bailey Hongzhuang was not pretending to be generous, but she did not care at all. Xue Haolang was considered the wealthiest person in their team, but an inscription was enough to make Xue Haolang so proud. Although he said that the inscription was not expensive, but from his performance, the inscription should not be cheap for him. However, when it came to Bailey Hongzhuang, it was given away for free. Comparing the two, one could see the financial gap between the two. It was just like when they were at the inn, when a fake local tyrant met a real local tyrant. The situation was like this. My God, I thought the Kanglan College was a poor place. I did not expect the students of the Kanglan College to be so rich. It's good to be Bailey Hongzhuang's teammate. An inscription can be sold for a very high price. That Xueling of Beihai College is really an idiot. It's just an inscription, and he has such a look. It's a joke. Everyone was mercilessly ridiculing him. In fact, Xue Haoling's previous appearance had caused many people to be dissatisfied. There should be a limit to showing off, right? It was as if he was the richest person in the world, but now he was slapped in the face by Bailey Hongzhuang. Feeling the eyes of the crowd, Xue Haoling's face was ugly. He really had a hard time. His elders had only bought 3 inscriptions at the auction. Who knew that Bailey Hongzhuang would have so many? What's more, as Bailey Hongzhuang said, the inscription was not expensive. He had not used the inscription before because the price of the inscription was not expensive. He felt that the effect would not be good, but he did not expect the effect to be better than expected. When people asked him about it, he naturally wanted to show off his vanity. That was why the price of the inscription was so good. He didn't expect that all of this was to help Bailey Hongzhuang make her wedding dress. Instead, it made Bailey Hongzhuang look heroic, but made him look very sad. However, he had already shown that the value of the inscription was not cheap. He could not slap his own face now, right? The most important thing, even if he said so now, no one would believe him. He could not understand. If the inscription master who drew the inscription was so skilled, why was the price of the inscription so cheap? Was there anyone in this world who didn't like having too much money? If Bailey Hongzhuang knew what Xue Haolang was thinking at the moment, she would not be able to help but laugh out loud. She had put the inscription up for sale with the mentality of giving a try. She really did not care about the price. Bailey Hongzhuang raised her eyebrows, looked at Xue Haolang with a smile, and said casually, I heard that someone wanted to destroy their own weapon. As soon as the voice fell, Xue Haolang's face turned purple. He really did not expect to dig a hole and bury himself. Originally, this was an unsolvable problem. Who would have thought that Bailey Hongzhuang would solve it? Chapter 738. The faces of Xia Jiqing and the others were full of interest. Xue Haolang, why don't you waste your weapon? For Xue Haolang's arrogant appearance, they had long been unaccustomed to it. Now that there was a chance to hit him, they would not let him escape. Cui Haoyan stared at Xue Haolang. This guy had won against him because of the inscription. During this time, he had been ridiculing him, and he had long been unable to bear it. Xue Haolang, weren't you very arrogant before? Are you mute now? Xue Haolang's heart was full of regret. It was not easy for him to get such a good weapon. Once the weapon was destroyed, his combat effectiveness would be weakened. He really regretted what he had said before. Lu Jinglian's face was also a bit ugly. If she could stop it in time, things would not have developed to this point. In this situation, no one could think of a way to deal with it. Xiaolan Mei had an indifferent attitude from beginning to end, as if Xue Haolang was not his teammate. No matter what Xue Haolang did, it had nothing to do with him. Suddenly, Xue Haolang's eyes lit up. He thought of an excellent idea in his mind. His very ugly face suddenly looked better. How can you guarantee that the inscription in your hand is the same as mine? Maybe your inscription only looks similar, but the effect is different. Xue Haolang never believed that Bailey Hongzhuang could directly take out so many inscriptions. The value of inscriptions was extremely high, not to mention so many of the same type of inscriptions. He was afraid that besides the inscription master himself, no one else could take out so many inscriptions of the same type at once. What's more, the inscriptions looked similar in shape, but the effect was fundamentally different. Previously, he was just scared by the inscriptions that Bailey Hongzhuang suddenly took out. At this moment, he realized that he had almost fallen into Bailey Hongzhuang's trap. With Xue Haoling's voice falling, the atmosphere of the scene changed again. As a result, Xue Haoling's statement was not unreasonable. Cui Haoyin and the others could not help but look at Bailey Hongzhuang. They also did not know the specific effect of the inscriptions. However, they had always trusted Bailey Hongzhuang. As long as Bailey Hongzhuang said that the inscriptions were the same as Xue Haoling's, they would believe it. Xue Haoling looked at Bailey Hongzhuang proudly. He wanted to see how Bailey Hongzhuang would continue to pretend. Bailey Hongzhuang's lips curved into a faint smile. What if I prove it? She knew that the structure of the inscriptions were the same. The inscriptions of the inscriptions of the inscriptions of the inscriptions, the inscriptions of the inscriptions as inscriptions. Xue Haoling wanted to see Bailey Hongzhuang's flustered appearance, but seeing Bailey Hongzhuang calm down, without the slightest bit of worry, his heart couldn't help but feel a little nervous. Damn it! Ever since he met Bailey Hongzhuang, this woman's actions always gave him an elusive feeling. Usually, he was confident in winning, but when it came to Bailey Hongzhuang, it seemed to be impossible. Could it be that Bailey Hongzhuang was so good at psychological tactics? After suffering a loss, Xue Haoling also learned to be smart and did not continue to speak harshly. Chapter 739. At this time, Xue Haoling is still like this. He really doesn't know how to live. Xiao He said out loud, "This kind of guy should be slapped in the face. The more he screams now, the worse he will fall later." Xiao Bai's eyes were filled with a bit of a smile. Her master was good at slapping people's faces. Xue Haoling was born to be slapped. Her master would never be soft on him. For Xue Haoling's performance, Bailey Hongzhuang was not surprised. This guy was just a dead duck. He would not cry until he saw the coffin. In this case, she did not mind proving it to make Xue Haoling completely give up. Bailey Hongzhuang nodded at Cui Haoyin and said with a smile, "Cui Haoyin, if you don't mind, you can directly inscribe the weapon. Let Xue Haoling completely give up." Listening to Bailey Hongzhuang's words, Cui Haoyin nodded without hesitation, "No problem." Previously, Xue Haoling had ridiculed him in every possible way. He could no longer stand it. Now that there was such an opportunity, he naturally would not miss it. The faces of Xia Jiqing and the others all showed a look of watching a good show. This kind of guy like Xue Haoling was not happy until he was taught a good lesson. Zhang Yinfeng and the others were very calm. Bailey Hongzhuang had never done anything wrong. They were just waiting to see the next good show. This scene could be said to have attracted everyone's attention. Everyone wanted to know whether what Bailey Hongzhuang said was true or not. After seeing this scene, the cultivators of Beihai College could not help but worry. It was originally a time to rest, but now their attention was attracted by the inscription. Bailey Hongzhuang was so confident, it did not seem like she was faking it. If Cui Haoyin really proved that everything Bailey Hongzhuang said was true, by that time, Xue Haoling would really be helpless. Xue Haoling's eyes were fixed on Cui Haoyin's body. It would be a lie to say that he was not nervous. His palms had begun to sweat. Cui Haoyin gave Xue Haoling a provocative look and directly pasted Bailey Hongzhuang's inscription on his weapon. A fiery red light slowly circulated, and the inscription that was originally printed on the inscription paper slowly appeared on the weapon and merged with it. Everyone felt as if the inscriptions were alive. They appeared on the weapons little by little, and the light was shining brightly. At this moment, everyone completely believed that the inscription that Bailey Hongzhuang had taken out was the real inscription, not a fake one. However, he didn't know if Bailey Hongzhuang's inscription had the same effect as Xue Haoling's. It seems that this inscription is real. I think that this inscription is most likely the same as Xue Haoling's. Otherwise, Bailey Hongzhuang would not have taken the initiative to talk about it. If this is true, doesn't it prove that people from Beihai College went to Kanglan City? As soon as these words came out, everyone's expression changed. If all of this was true, then there would be a lot of tricks involved. Just as everyone was thinking about what kind of effect this inscription had, Xue Haolang's face quietly appeared pale. This was because the situation of the inscription mark was exactly the same as the situation of his inscription mark. If not, then these two inscriptions were too similar. Chapter 740. It did not take long for the inscription on Xue Haoyan's weapon to be successfully branded. His eyes could not help but fall on Xue Haolang's body, revealing a little pride. Xue Haolang, let me see if this inscription has the same effect as your inscription. The next moment, Xue Haoyan's body surged and directly converged on the weapon. Then, a scorching temperature spread, and the inscription on the weapon flashed with a fiery red light. Xue Haoyan's sword burst out, and a fiery red sword burst out, directly shooting a hole in the ground. Seeing this scene, everyone burst into a burst of exclamation. This situation was exactly the same as Xue Haolang's inscription. Wow, the power of this inscription is so strong. It actually has such a flame effect. In this way, with this inscription, it is enough to annoy the opponent for a while. If the two people are equal in strength with this inscription, they can definitely win. Everyone's face was full of shock. This inscription was a great weapon. If they could also have it, then their combat effectiveness could be greatly improved. For a time, everyone was envious of Bailey Hongzhuang's teammates. It was great to be friends with a rich person like Bailey Hongzhuang. However, they did not know Bailey Hongzhuang at all, and this kind of good thing would not fall on their heads. The Lingyin College students who were originally disdainful of Bailey Hongzhuang also changed their eyes at this moment. This kind of friend was simply what everyone wanted. Even Nangong Xiujie and the others who were calm. At this moment, after seeing the effect of Xue Haoyan's attack, there was a touch of shock in their eyes. This inscription was really amazing, and it was very helpful to improve combat effectiveness. However, it was a pity that they and Bailey Hongzhuang were like fire and water. Even if Bailey Hongzhuang had a lot of inscriptions, they could not buy it. Nangong Yuer's face flashed with an unhappy light. What's so great about it? It's just a few inscriptions. The inscriptions of Wubao Pavilion are also very good. Her inscription was obtained from the Wubao Pavilion's inscription master. It was just that she had spent a lot of effort to obtain this inscription. An inscription master was a very honorable existence, and he would not give face to the average person. What's more, the three inscription masters of Wubao Pavilion had always liked to study inscriptions. They had no interest in selling inscriptions at all. They would only occasionally put a few inscriptions that they practiced on in Wubao Pavilion for sale. As a princess, she naturally wanted an inscription master to draw the most suitable inscription for her. All of this was thanks to her imperial father, who had helped her prepare a lot of equipment for the inscription master. Only then did the inscription master tailor-made an inscription for her. So far, the inscription had been her pride. Therefore, she didn't care about Bailey Hongzhuang's inscriptions. She only thought that Bailey Hongzhuang was trying to attract attention. Nangong Xiujie and Nangong Yujin looked at each other. Nangong Yuer had always been very favored by their imperial father, so she was able to get an inscription master to personally design an inscription. The two of them did not have such good treatment. They originally planned to ask an inscription master to help draw an inscription, but because of Bailey Hongzhuang, their imperial father was furious, and their inscription was naturally ruined. Chapter 741. Xue Haoyan did not expect his weapon to have such an effect after being branded with the inscription. Its power was much stronger than before. This kind of flame effect was really hard to guard against. Other than dodging, it was very troublesome to face it head-on. Faintly, he felt that the effect of this inscription was much stronger than Xue Haolang's inscription. Now, he was full of admiration for Bailey Hongzhuang. He could not imagine how Bailey Hongzhuang did all this. This kind of thing that was difficult for ordinary people became easy for Bailey Hongzhuang. Now, he only felt that when something strange happened to Bailey Hongzhuang, they did not find it so hard to accept. This was because Bailey Hongzhuang was not someone ordinary people could compare to. Just the fact that Bailey Hongzhuang married Di Beichen was already an incredible thing in the eyes of ordinary people. Shui Haolang, it seems that the effect of our inscription is exactly the same. Cui Haoyan's face was filled with a proud and mocking smile. Previously, it was Shui Haolang who had been mocking him. Now it was finally time for him to fight back. At this moment, Shui Haolang could no longer find any reason to fight back. Everything proved that what Bailey Hongzhuang said was true. But when he thought about destroying his own weapon, it was simply impossible. All his previous efforts were to achieve good results in the inter-school competition. If he destroyed his weapon, what else could he rely on to achieve good results? Bailey Hongzhuang's lips were filled with a faint and charming smile. She said, "A real man cannot go back on his words." Shui Haolang, you won't go back on your words, right? There's so many people here. If you don't fulfill your promise, it will be too embarrassing. Bailey Hongzhuang knew that Shui Haolang was naturally unwilling to destroy his weapon. However, she would never be soft-hearted towards her opponents. Shui Haolang's face turned ugly. Bailey Hongzhuang seemed to have guessed his thoughts. Her words left him with no room to maneuver. Obviously, Bailey Hongzhuang wanted to force him to destroy his weapon. Once his weapon was destroyed, it would not be easy for him to advance to the next round. What was the difference between that and giving up? Without looking away, Shui Haolang's gaze scanned the crowd. It was too difficult to make a choice. Shui Haolang, you can't be all talk and no action, right? Then I'll look down on you. At this time, Xia Jiqing naturally did not mind adding insult to injury. Shui Haolang was like a rat crossing the street. Everyone wanted to beat him up. Now that she finally had the chance to humiliate him, she naturally wouldn't miss it. After seeing this scene, Song Hongxi only felt that Shui Haolang was really an idiot. Most people wouldn't do something like digging a hole for themselves. He didn't understand why Shui Haolang would say something like destroying his weapon. Now it could be said that he was in a dilemma. Even he had no choice. After a long while, Shui Haolang seemed to have made a huge decision. He said, "Previously, you deliberately led me to be fooled. It's impossible for me to destroy my weapon." He had made up his mind. If he didn't destroy his weapon, what could Bailey Hongzhuang and others do? Chapter 742. When Shui Haolang shamelessly said this sentence, the onlookers were also stunned. Wasn't his skin a little too thick? Such shameless words, Shui Haolang can still say it so confidently. This kind of psychological quality is really not comparable to ordinary people. Damn. Cui Haoyan was not angry but laughed, looking at Shui Haolang speechlessly. Shui Haolang, are you a man? Shui Haolang's face was ugly. At this moment, no matter what he said, it would only lead to the contempt of the crowd. It was better to say nothing. The next moment, Shui Haolang walked directly back to his resting place. He had decided that before the end of the college tournament, he would pretend that he didn't hear anything. This Shui Haolang is really shameless. I didn't expect Beihai College to have such a talent. Previously, I only heard that Kanglan College was not good. Now it seems that the cultivators of Beihai College are the dregs. Not to mention anything else, just this way of life, the cultivators of Beihai College are bad enough. Everyone was speechless. They did not understand how Shui Haolang had the cheek to say such a thing. If it were them, they would not have the face to continue to stay here. But Shui Haolang acted as if nothing had happened. Cui Haoyan was even more annoyed. This guy is too shameless. I must make him destroy his weapon. Seeing Cui Haoyan's action, Bailey Hongzhuang could not help but stop him and said, "Cui Haoyan, don't worry. Shui Haolang has made up his mind. Even if you force him to destroy his weapon, he will not do so. What's more, you can't continue to participate in the next competition. If Shui Haolang says that you deliberately destroyed his next competition, I am afraid it will be very troublesome." Bailey Hongzhuang looked indifferent. For a guy like Shui Haolang who had no bottom line, it was very likely that he would do such a thing. Hearing this, Cui Haoyan could not help but frown. Are we going to let Shui Haolang act like a rogue? Bailey Hongzhuang waved her hand. His heart is already in a mess. It will be difficult for him to get a good result in the upcoming competition. He has already ruined his own reputation by doing this. Compared to destroying his weapon, this might be better. If Xue Haolang had decisively destroyed his weapon just now, everyone would still respect him as a man and think highly of him. However, his current actions had already proven that he was a truly despicable person. Naturally, everyone despised him. Thinking about it, Xue Haolang must be feeling terrible right now. If they were to stir up trouble again, they would only bring trouble to themselves. Why not just let Xue Haolang go like this? That would make them seem magnanimous. Hongzhuang is right. Cui Haoyan, don't take it to heart. Gong Shaoqing spoke slowly, but his admiration for Bailey Hongzhuang grew. This woman was truly not someone ordinary women could compare to. Regardless of whether it was her strength or her wisdom, she was far superior to ordinary people. Even with such a disadvantage, after hearing Bailey Hongzhuang's words, he felt as if he had a card up his sleeve. How amazing! After hearing Bailey Hongzhuang's words, Cui Haoyan understood and immediately nodded. Understand. Chapter 743. Huan Chu looked at Song Hongxi with a smile and said slowly, Vice President Song, your student, his temperament is not good. Now, in the college exchange, the students represented the image of the college. Xue Haoling's behavior was tantamount to losing the face of the entire Beihai College. Such an opportunity, Huan Chu naturally would not miss it. This was a fatal flaw. Song Hongxi's expression was a bit unnatural. Xue Haoling's behavior was too petty. In any case, Xue Haoling did not deserve the slightest respect. In the face of Huan Chuyo's ridicule, Song Hongxi's heart was also a little angry. He used to laugh at Huan Chuyo. He didn't know when it started, but the situation was reversed. Vice President Huan, if this matter was not set by your students, how could Xue Haoling fall into such a situation? I haven't seen you for 3 years, but the students of Kangling College have learned a lot of tricks. Seeing that Song Hongxi had directly started to argue, Huan Chuyu was not in a hurry. Instead, a faint smile appeared on his gentle face. Someone has to be stupid enough to do this. His voice fell. Huan Chuyu was too lazy to pay attention to Song Hongxi. This old guy had always liked to push the responsibility to others. It had been like this over the years, and he had already known the temperament of the other party. Song Hongxi was speechless. Huan Chuyu actually said that his students were stupid. Just as Song Hongxi was about to have a good argument with Huan Chuyu, Jian Qingxiu looked at him and directly blocked the words he was about to say. Jian Qingxiu was in a very bad mood. Originally, this time it should be Kangling College's face that was swept to the ground. But now, because of the performance of the students of Beihai College, the excellence of Kangling College was set off. The depression in his heart could be imagined. If something like this happened to the Azure Water School, then he would really be angry. Feeling Jian Qingxiu's gaze, Song Hongxi also knew that this matter was completely caused by Beihai College and did not dare to say more. Liu Huayin and Fu Hongba looked at each other, and there was a smile in their eyes. They had not been so happy for a long time. In the past, Mo Xinghai and Duan Yingwu had always been on top of their heads. Now, they could finally hold their heads high. An hour passed quickly, and after an hour of rest, everyone's state had recovered a lot. The second round of the promotion competition begins now. As Jian Qingxiu's voice sounded, Bailey Hongzhuang and other cultivators who had advanced to the second round immediately stood up and slowly looked in the direction of the stage. The second round of the competition will also be conducted by drawing lots. 5 students will come up at random and start drawing lots. Bailey Hongzhuang stayed in place. No matter who the opponent was, she didn't care. Counter soldiers with arms, water with an earth weir. That had always been her principle. Xia Jiqing held the long whip in her hand, and her heart was full of excitement. She had already tested it just now. After branding the inscription, the attack power of her long whip was much stronger than before. Soon, everyone's is. Xia Jiqing versus Nangong Yu Xin Xin Shui. Dongfang Yu versus Nangong Xiujia. Bailey Hongzhuang against Nan Yangzi. Xiaolan Mei against Jin Xingyu. Chapter 744. Fortunately, this time there was no situation where the students of their own school would fight. Now, let's invite Xia Jiqing and Nan Gongyuer to the stage. Lin Ninghao's face had a faint smile. Nan Gongyuer's strength was very strong. Although Xia Jiqing's strength was good, she was definitely not Nan Gongyuer's opponent, because Nan Gongyuer had broken through to the innate realm. The second round of the promotion tournament used the method of the second team's match after the first team's match. It was not like the first round of the promotion tournament. Not only that, but the stage used for the second round of the promotion tournament was also much larger than the first round. Jiqing, come on. The cultivators of the Kanglan College cheered for Xia Jiqing. Although they felt that Nan Gongyuer's strength was very strong, as long as they fought with all their strength, it was enough. Xia Jiqing nodded heavily and said, I will. Nan Gongyuer's speed was faster than Xia Jiqing's. Her figure jumped directly onto the stage. However, Nan Gongyuer's next words surprised everyone. Bailey Hongzhuang, come up. As soon as these words came out, everyone's eyes fell on Nan Gongyuer. They didn't know what Nan Gongyuer was doing. I want to fight with you. Nan Gongyuer continued to emphasize her request. She originally hoped that in this second round, she would be able to directly draw Bailey Hongzhuang. She didn't expect her opponent to be Xia Jiqing. With Xia Jiqing's strength, she was not her opponent at all. It was just a waste of time. She couldn't wait to fight with Bailey Hongzhuang. Not for anything else, but because of the ambiguous relationship between Bailey Hongzhuang and Mo Yunjue. For this point, she couldn't let go of Bailey Hongzhuang. Lin Ninghao was also dumbfounded at this moment. What was the third princess doing? Nan Gongyuer, your opponent is Xia Jiqing. Lin Ninghao emphasized. Nan Gongyuer was unmoved. I know, but I want to challenge Bailey Hongzhuang. Nonsense. Jin Qingxiu frowned slightly. He always had a certain understanding of Nan Gongyuer's temperament. It was just that the entire Lingyin College relied on the royal family, so he usually turned a blind eye to Nan Gongyuer's character. However, he didn't expect Nan Gongyuer would dare to make trouble in this college exchange tournament. Originally, with Nan Gongyuer's strength, she could definitely enter the next round, but Nan Gongyuer wanted to challenge Bailey Hongzhuang. Nan Gongyuer, Lin Yuzuer, Nan Gongyuer was the Yuan Yulong was in a very bad mood. Because he had blocked the Kanglan School's team outside the school, he had received a certain amount of punishment. He was almost unable to participate in the school exchange. At this moment, he had just arrived at the arena when he heard Nan Gongyuer's request. Although he didn't know why Nan Gongyuer was suddenly made such a move, as her mentor, he had always been very indulgent. Thinking of this, Nan Gongyuer immediately said, Principal, this competition is originally random. Since Nan Gongyuer has such a request, as long as Bailey Hongzhuang is willing to accept it, it is not impossible. If Bailey Hongzhuang does not dare to accept it, then it is fine. Chapter 745. Hongzhuang, who is this person? Why are her words so unpleasant? Xia Jiqing frowned. If the other party said this, didn't it mean that if Hongzhuang did not agree, it meant that she was afraid of Nan Gongyuer? This seemed to give Bailey Hongzhuang a choice, but in fact there was no choice at all. Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes narrowed slightly, and the light of wisdom gradually flowed. This person should be a teacher of Lingyin College. I heard that we were blocked outside the college because a teacher wanted to give us a show of strength. Now it seems that it is very likely to be this person. Xia Jiqing suddenly realized that she had also heard the news, and it was from the mouth of the practitioners of Beihai College. The other party obviously wanted to use this opportunity to ridicule them, so they also knew the whole story. Jin Qingxiu's face showed a bit of embarrassment. As the principal, he didn't like unexpected things to happen in such a formal occasion. Originally, Nan Gongyuer was just messing around, but Yuan Yulong had said things like this, so he couldn't refuse. After all, Yuan Yulong was a teacher of Kanglan College. Bailey Hongzhuang, do you have the courage to come up? Nan Gongyuer raised her chin slightly, and her eyes were filled with arrogance. Her provocative expression carried an innate arrogance. She was confident that whether it was family background or strength, she was far better than Bailey Hongzhuang. No matter what means Bailey Hongzhuang used to seduce Mo Yunjue, she would not let Bailey Hongzhuang succeed. Is there any conflict between the third princess and Bailey Hongzhuang? Why is she looking for Bailey Hongzhuang? I don't know. Maybe good women are born to hate other good women. So she wants to deal with Bailey Hongzhuang. You don't know this. I heard that Bailey Hongzhuang is Mo Yunjue's wife, and the third princess likes Mo Yunjue. Naturally, they're jealous of each other. As one of the insiders revealed the real reason, everyone's eyes were filled with surprise. This was simply too shocking. Really? Of course it's true. I saw young Master Mo call Bailey Hongzhuang his wife in the first tower that day. Compared to Nangong Yu's arrogant provocation, Bailey Hongzhuang was still as indifferent as ever. Since the third princess wants to compete with me, I naturally don't mind. Jian Qingqiu couldn't help but look at Huan Qiu's next to him, with a look of helplessness. Old Huan, what do you think? Huan Qiu's he looked at Bailey Hongzhuang's he looked, and said he's used. Jian Qingqiu nodded slightly, and his face looked a little better. Since Bailey Hongzhuang and Nangong Yu both agree, then Bailey Hongzhuang will go to the stage. Xia Jiqing's fourth match will be against Nangong Zhe. Boss, defeat her. Xia Jiqing's eyes flashed with conviction. She was just worried that Nangong Yu would suddenly challenge the boss. She always felt that there was something fishy about this. Hongzhuang, you must be more careful. Zhang Yunfeng and the other spoke out, their eyes filled with worry, but they believed in Bailey Hongzhuang's strength. So far, Bailey Hongzhuang's every performance has amazed them, and this time was no exception. Chapter 746. Bailey Hongzhuang nodded slightly and slowly walked towards the stage under everyone's gaze. Nangong Xiujie and Nangong Yujin looked at each other. It seemed that what Nangong Yujin had said before had deeply stimulated Nangong Yu. Therefore, Nangong Yu would do such a wayward thing in this tournament. Yu's strength is very good. She will be able to easily defeat Bailey Hongzhuang. Nangong Yujin looked indifferent. Nangong Yu's cultivation talent was something that even he had to praise. Although Nangong Yu was young, her strength was stronger than her. It was because of this that his father loved her so much. Nangong Xiujie looked at Bailey Hongzhuang's back indifferently. I want to deal with Bailey Hongzhuang myself. Now it seems that I don't need to do anything. This group of ways from Kanglan College is not our opponent at all. Even if they entered the second round, it was just luck. Nangong Xiujie's eyes were full of disdain. It was this group of waste that made him lose face in the first tower. It was simply unforgivable. If he knew that Bailey Hongzhuang and the others were cultivators from Kanglan College, he would have definitely taught them a lesson. Nangong Yujin nodded in agreement. Although he did not advance to the second round, it was not a problem for him. Xiao Lanmei from Beihai College did have some skills, but he did not care. Bailey Hongzhuang slowly walked onto the stage and stood opposite Nangong Yu. Nangong Yu, who was wearing a pink and purple dress, looked playful and cute. Coupled with her arrogant appearance, she looked like a rude and unreasonable young lady, but she had a bit of charm. Bailey Hongzhuang was more mature and elegant. Her beautiful face was cold, like ice, revealing a sense of alienation. However, such a Bailey Hongzhuang seemed even more unattainable. Bailey Hongzhuang, I didn't expect you to have some courage. Nangong Yu sneered. However, you're going to regret your decision now. Bailey Hongzhuang remained unmoved. I've never regretted my decisions. Changing the topic, Bailey Hongzhuang continued. I wonder if there is any enmity between us. Until now, she still didn't understand why Nangong Yu was looking for trouble with her. If it was for Nangong Xiujie, then Nangong Xiujie should do it himself. Why would he need his sister to come forward? Seeing that Bailey Hongzhuang didn't know the reason behind this, Nangong Yu was even more furious. In this world, there is a kind of grievance where you treated your opponent as an opponent whom you hated to the bone, but the opponent didn't care about your existence at all. This was simply naked contempt. However, Bailey Hongzhuang's puzzled look did not seem to be an act at all. Could it be that this girl did not know that they were rivals in love? You dare to steal my man. You are destined to pay the price. Nan Gongyu didn't want to stop until she was shocked to death. She directly said such domineering words in front of everyone, and she didn't care about the impact her words would have on her. Steel Man? Bailey Hongzhuang was slightly stunned. She couldn't help but think about Di Beichun. Did this guy know Nan Gongyu? That guy went to Tiangang's sect during this time and did not appear in the Qing dynasty. How could he still cause trouble for her? Chapter 747. Really? Di Beichun's charm is so great. Xia Jiqing couldn't help but sigh when she thought of Di Beichun. Well, she admitted that Di Beichun's charm was indeed great. But this was the Qing dynasty. When did Di Beichun come to the Qing dynasty? Zhang Yunfeng and the others were also puzzled. They racked their brains and did not think that the reason why Nan Gongyu was targeting Hongzhuang was because of this. Dong Fangyu and the others were also speechless. In this regard, they did not know what to say. In the matter of love rivals, the battle between women may be more exaggerated than the battle between men. Nangong Xiujia and Nangong Yujin were also helpless. They could not do anything about Nangong Yu's outspoken temper. In any case, she was still a princess. Saying such words in broad daylight would affect the honor of the royal family. Jian Qingqiu, Lin Yinghao, and even Huan Chuyu on the high platform were also a little surprised. Previously, Huan Chuyu thought that Lingyin College was deliberately doing this. He did not expect that this was the emotional entanglement between the younger generation. They really did not know what to say. Nangong Yu Hongzhuang is already married. What do you mean by stealing your man? It is clear that you are the one who is stealing her man. Xia Jiqing said indignantly. What kind of joke was this? The position of the legal wife had to be clarified. Just looking at Nangong Yu's arrogance, she knew that Nangong Yu had been pestering Di Beichun. Di Beichun did not like Nangong Yu at all. When Zhang Yunfeng wanted to stop Xia Jiqing, it was too late. Xia Jiqing's words had already been blurted out. Nangong Yu had already disregarded her face. Xia Jiqing's words had really turned into a fight between the two of them. The onlookers all looked at each other. They did not expect that the news they had heard was actually true. The cultivators of Lingyin College found it even more difficult to accept. Nangong Yu had always been a high existence in their minds. Bailey Hongzhuang had already been married, but Nangong Yu actually wanted to steal Bailey Hongzhuang's man? How could they, who had always regarded Nangong Yu as a goddess, accept this? Listening to Xia Jiqing's words, Nangong Yu's face was really ugly. It seemed that what third brother said to her was right. Mo Yunjue actually married Bailey Hongzhuang. She had liked Mo Yunjue for so long, yet she had not heard anything about it. How despicable! Nangong Yu's eyes flashed with viciousness when she thought of this. She didn't care how good the relationship between Bailey Hongzhuang and Mo Yunjue was. The man that Bailey Hongzhuang had her eyes on would definitely be hers. Bailey Hongzhuang, regardless of whether you're married to him or not, he is destined to be my man. Nangong Yu raised her chin high. A commoner like Bailey Hongzhuang did not have the qualifications to compete with her at all. Bailey Hongzhuang looked indifferent. Although she did not know what the relationship between Nangong Yu and Di Beichun was, she was sure that all of this was just Nangong Yu's wishful thinking. At this time, a black figure appeared near the stage. The man was tall and handsome. As soon as he appeared, he attracted the attention of many people. Young Master Mo, seeing the appearance of Mo Yunjue, Cui Haoyin, and others all smiled. They also had a good impression of this friend they had made in the Qing dynasty. Chapter 748. Gongzi Mo, why are you here? Xia Jiqing asked with a happy smile on her face. I heard that today is the college tournament, so I came to cheer for you. But I was delayed by something at the restaurant, so I came a little late. Listening to Mo Yunjue's words, everyone from the Kanglin College smiled. Mo Yunjue, as a person from the Qing dynasty, did not cheer for Lingyin College, but instead cheered for them. This was indeed beyond their expectations. Cui Haoyin and Dong Fangyu looked at each other. As men, they could almost conclude that Mo Yunjue had a good impression of Bailey Hongzhuang. If not, Mo Yunjue would not have risked defending the two princes to help them. In fact, everything Mo Yunjue did was only for Bailey Hongzhuang. They believed that Mo Yunjue came at the moment to cheer for Bailey Hongzhuang. Even so, Mo Yunjue was also their good friend. Look, Gongzi Mo of the first pavilion is here. He must have come to cheer for Bailey Hongzhuang. Bailey Hongzhuang is a student of the Kanglin College. I don't know when she got married to Gongzi Mo. It's really strange. I don't know what Gongzi Mo is thinking. The third princess is also very good, but he seems to be unmoved. I think the third princess is very arrogant. If he married her, wouldn't it be like marrying an ancestor? On the contrary, this Bailey Hongzhuang is good. She is more suitable to be a wife. Everyone was talking about this love triangle. They were also very interested in this love triangle. Gong Xiaoqing and the others, after hearing the comments of the crowd at the moment, their expressions changed a little. They seemed to have made a mistake. Xia Jiqing and Zhang Yunfeng looked at each other. The man that Nan Gongyu liked should not be Mo Yunjue, right? If this was the case, then this misunderstanding was a big deal. Mo Yunjue had a faint smile on his face as his gaze fell on Bailey Hongzhuang. This woman had always been proud and unyielding. He believed that she would perform well in this exchange. The moment Mo Yunjue appeared, Nan Gongyu had already noticed that the man she had been longing for was now focused on Bailey Hongzhuang. Mo Yunjue acted as if he did not see her at all. The smile on his face was all because of Bailey Hongzhuang. Ever since the first pavilion opened in the Imperial City, she had seen Mo Yunjue many times. However, she rarely saw Mo Yunjue smile. Most of the time, Mo Yunjue's face was expressionless. She always thought that Mo Yunjue didn't like to smile. Now it seemed that it was not that Mo Yunjue didn't like to smile, but that Mo Yunjue didn't like to smile at her. A crazy jealousy swept through Nan Gongyu-er's heart. She must kill Bailey Hongzhuang. If she couldn't get it, she would never let anyone else get it. Bailey Hongzhuang also felt the crazy murderous intent surging in Nan Gongyu-er's body, but she still did not feel nervous or panic. In fact, she had come into contact with a lot of terrifying murderous intent. The murderous intent shown by Nan Gongyu could be described as ordinary. However, Nan Gongyu actually wanted to kill her here, which was beyond her expectations. Killing opponents had always been prohibited in the inter-school competition, but it seemed that all these rules were nothing in the eyes of the third princess. She completely ignored all these rules and only did what she wanted to do. Chapter 749. She didn't hate cultivators who had a murderous heart. But for people like Nan Gongyu, who only cared about their own interests and didn't care about the lives of others, she had always been full of disgust. It was as if just because she was born in the royal family, she was superior and could trample on anyone. Let the battle begin. As the referee's voice fell, Bailey Hongzhuang and Nan Gongyu immediately started fighting. Nan Gongyu looked coldly at Bailey Hongzhuang. As long as you take the initiative to admit defeat and agree to leave Mo Yunjue, I will let you go. How about it? Hearing this, Bailey Hongzhuang was slightly stunned. Mo Yunjue? Thinking about what happened in the first hour of the day before yesterday and the whispers between Nan Gongyu and Nan Gongyu, Bailey Hongzhuang understood everything. It turned out that the person Nan Gongyu was talking about was Mo Yunjue, not Di Baichen. Bailey Hongzhuang's mood quietly improved a little, but Mo Yunjue. This was a complete misunderstanding. Bailey Hongzhuang glanced at Mo Yunjue below the stage and then looked at Nan Gongyu. She saw that Nan Gongyu was still looking high and mighty, as if she gave Bailey Hongzhuang this choice. Bailey Hongzhuang should be grateful to her. In fact, Nan Gongyu thought so. Bailey Hongzhuang immediately put away the idea of explaining the misunderstanding. Since Nan Gongyu wanted to think this way, then let her be. You think too much. Bailey Hongzhuang's voice was cold. Obviously, she didn't intend to pay attention to Nan Gongyu's words. She felt that it was better to directly defeat Nan Gongyu-er's arrogance. As soon as these words came out, Nan Gongyu-er's face turned ugly. Bailey Hongzhuang dared to speak to her like this. It was simply unforgivable. Since you insist on seeking your own death, I'll fulfill your wish. Nan Gongyu-er's eyes were gloomy. Usually this kind of person who didn't know what was good for her would end up dead. Bailey Hongzhuang's expression was indifferent and calm. Less nonsense. Let's fight. She didn't intend to waste her breath on such a boring thing. Since she wanted to fight, then she would have a good fight. The so-called title of princess was nothing in her eyes. Seeing Bailey Hongzhuang daring to challenge her, Nan Gongyu-er's. She didn't expect the ace of the Kangling College to be such a brainless girl. Everyone below the stage also felt the hostile atmosphere on the stage, and the excitement in their eyes grew stronger and stronger. It seems like this match is TS Nai, Nangong to success you wet night. Nai Nangong, and ends night to Nangong, Xiujia smiled confidently. He knew what kind of temper Nangong Yuer had. From the moment Bailey Hongzhuang and Mo Yunjue had a relationship, she had already been sentenced to death by Nangong Yuer. On the martial arts stage, the battle was about to start. The primary energy in Nangong Yuer's body burst out, and the power of the second level of the Red Realm burst out clearly. Sensing this tyrannical aura, intense shock surfaced in the eyes of everyone present. Second level of the Red Realm. The third princess has broken through to the second level of the Red Realm. Oh my god, the third princess has already broken through to the second level of the Red Realm at such a young age. Her talent and potential are so great. Chapter 750. When Nangong Yuer's aura broke out, almost everyone had already determined that Nangong Yu would win this battle. Breaking through to the second stage of the Red Realm at such a young age, Nangong Yuer's talent was amazing. What's more, it was said that Bailey Hongzhuang was a month younger than Nangong Yuer. It was impossible for Bailey Hongzhuang to be the opponent of Nangong Yuer. Jian Xingqiu's face also showed a touch of joy. Previously, Nangong Yuer was still at the first stage of the Red Realm. He did not expect her to break through to the second stage of the Red Realm. It was really an unexpected surprise. As long as Nangong Yuer defeated Bailey Hongzhuang, then this time the Kangling College was doomed to not get a good result. However, compared to the excitement of the Lingyin College, the practitioners of the Kangling College were unusually calm. It's really a group of people who have never seen the world. They think that they will win when they are at the second stage of the Red Realm. Our Hongzhuang is abnormal. Xia Jiqing's eyes flashed with excitement. She knew that Hongzhuang had also reached the second stage of the Red Realm. Nangong Yuer's cultivation talent was not weak, but Hongzhuang's cultivation talent was stronger. Just wait and see. Hongzhuang will definitely win. Zhang Yunfeng's eyes were full of trust. From the beginning to the end, they were not worried that Bailey Hongzhuang would lose. Nangong Xiujia and the others wanted to see the panic of the Kangling College practitioners, but found that they did not react at all. They could not help but have doubts in their eyes. Do they think that Bailey Hongzhuang has a chance to win? Nangong Xiujia secretly thought. With Yuer's talent, she could almost beat the practitioners of the same age. Not to mention that Bailey Hongzhuang was a few months younger than Yuer. Listening to Nangong Xiujia's words, Nangong Yujin immediately dispelled his thoughts. Second brother, don't joke, this is impossible. I heard that Bailey Hongzhuang obtained the inheritance in the ruins. Maybe, second brother, don't worry, the cultivators of Kangling College are just pretending to be calm. Maybe Yuer is putting too much pressure on them, and they haven't reacted yet. Nangong Yujin's face was filled with a smile of victory. The principal had praised you, as a genius, and her talent was outstanding enough for her age. It was impossible for a barren place like the Kangling School to cultivate a cultivator more powerful than Yuer. He was afraid that the Kangling School's cultivators would reach the end of the second round. Speaking of which, he was really quite pitiful. Song Hongxi couldn't help but look at Huan Chuyu. This Bailey Hongzhuang is really stupid. As long as Bailey Hongzhuang did not agree, then Lingyin College would not force Bailey Hongzhuang to play. In this way, Bailey Hongzhuang might be able to advance to the next round. However, Bailey Hongzhuang chose this way to court death, so it could only end here. However, Song Hongxi saw that Huan Chuyu was still calm, as if everything in front of him did not cause him much surprise. Seeing this, Song Hongxi also sneered, deliberately mystifying. Even if Huan Chuyu pretended to be confident, When the result came out, he would like to see how calm Huan Shuyu would be.